If you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands. If you've lost faith in humanity, and this is your villain origin story, if you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands. If you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands.
I love that so much. I can't even tell you.
If you've lost faith in humanity, and this is your villain origin story. If you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands.
This guy is funny also, the dance.
If you
good, man, that was good. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. I got a few stories I want to break down tonight. I should remind you all, as the fine badger says, it is Third Person Thursday. Good Lawgic needs to remind you it's Third Person Thursday. It's Good Lawgic wants you to remember that for all your chatting needs in particular, that at all times you should make sure you understand that when you refer to yourself, it's probably preferable to do it in the third person because it is Third Person Thursday. And thank you for the hello chat. Good Lawgic appreciates that. Good Lawgic very much appreciates that. Anyhow, Good Lawgic has a whole bunch of more memes to share with y'all. He does. He's got a bunch more memes to share with you all. But one of the things that we plan on breaking down on the show tonight, in addition to overarching stories, is this new plan that President Trump has announced today as far as the step-by-step 10 steps that he plans on engaging in order to clean up this swamp. We are probably going to have a call-in show because Good Lawgic thinks it would be interesting to hear from you all as to what steps you think are most likely to actually come into being as a valid law, because some of the things that he's suggesting out there, we might have some questions about the viability of actually that being legal or something that president is empowered to do without blessings of Congress or other third parties. So, but for the ones that we think, we'll discuss the legality of various objectives he has. But the other thing we should discuss is the reasons that those particular steps may be ineffective or may prove to be less significant. So for that it makes sense. I think it makes sense to say, let's have a group dialogue on this. It feels awesome to be unburdened, if you must know. It feels really awesome to be unburdened by what has been. Did you see what is happening with Amsterdam right now? Yes. Thought about discussing it. I really geared this show more towards domestic politics than international politics. Lady Lawgic came in here. Those of you who are unaware of what Keith is referring to here. So this was shared with me by actually Nathan, who's an invaluable contributor to the show. Basically, that there are scenes of violence breaking out across of Arabs against, they say Israelis, but I think it means Jews, not Israelis. They use the term Israelis, but Hasidic Jews are not Israelis. Hasidic Jews in Amsterdam are not Israelis. Reports of hundreds of Arabs in Amsterdam attacking Israelis who came to support the Maccabi Tel Aviv team. Now, those supporting the Maccabi Tel Aviv team are more likely to be Israelis than standard Jews because Maccabi Tel Aviv team is the Israeli Tel Aviv team. Dozens of Israelis injured and wounded, reports of stabbings, car rammings, and beatings in the streets. Literally driving on sidewalks. Literally driving on sidewalks to run over Jews. So there you go. This is the chaos, and apparently little, if anything, is being done to stop it. I have to be careful what I show here on YouTube, which is one of the reasons. I mean, you can see basically hordes of people chasing after individuals. It's mayhem. It's mayhem. It's very... yeah, it's just mayhem. So it's hard to see exactly when you're looking at these videos. That screaming is... It's hard when you're looking at these videos to really make out exactly what you're seeing in the crystal clear type of way that we expect to see when we're seeing a video of an attack. But they say that, which is another reason I was like, I think people who are questioning this story may claim that the videos are not really definitive. However, there's a lot of reports about it. But like I said, this show is more, I really focus more on domestic politics. So that's why I really wasn't planning on going into detail on that. But it's a sick situation, and it's a constant reminder that leftist policies leave the world that much a worse place. Really, really, just awful disaster. And if you need another reminder on that, I'm just throw this out there. I threw this out on X. This is just one more on a related type of topic. Before I get back to this, before I cover this, just coming back to just what's happening in Amsterdam, just to give you an idea as to how the world is a safer place when you have a strong American leader versus a weak, pathetic, useless pile of crap like Joe Biden or his wannabe successor, who most assuredly would have been even weaker in Kamala Harris. As soon as Trump wins the election, he's not in power, Hamas calls for immediate end to the war after Trump wins the election. All of a sudden, they want to end it. You never heard that before. Now they want to end it. Now it's like, oh, okay, let's get back the hostages. Now the big boys are in town. Now let's wrap everything up. There you go. Senior Hamas officials call for immediate end to Israel's war against the group in the Gaza Strip and a plan to achieve Palestinian statehood, remarks shared with Newsweek in the wake of former President Donald Trump's election video. Oh, a victory. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can talk about a two-state solution. I guess. That's the difference. That's the difference. Having when it's like, you know, it's really sad, but that's the way the world is. But you sort of need an actual teacher in the room. So. Off topic, would Trump be allowed to testify in the trial of a guy who tried to unalive him in Florida because he's president? I don't think that would have any impact in minimizing his ability to testify. There shouldn't be any. That should not. I'm unaware of any limitation that a president has from serving as a witness simply because of his role as president. So they would have to orchestrate how to have Secret Service there and everything, but no, he's certainly allowed to testify. It's just me, has the morning since election felt like morning in America again? Can it be like this every day? And the high will wear off. It will. But there's sort of like, it's almost like the feeling of doom and depression has slipped away, at least for me. But I want to talk with you all about the steps that he's taking, and we're going to get there soon enough, as to, like, you know, what he really has the capacity to do and what, if anything, what it'll accomplish. Elizabeth, there we go. Third person Thursday, Elizabeth, getting the feel of it. Elizabeth is ever so grateful that Mondays are her regular day off. Inauguration Day, she will be home watching and celebrating. As Good Lawgic mentioned yesterday, Good Lawgic intends to be in Washington on Monday, January 20th. That is definitely the plan. Right now, still trying to book something for Sunday night, because the plan is that I'll probably go in early Sunday morning. That's probably the plan. Probably do a stream Saturday night, go in early Sunday morning, and spend the day in Washington, stay overnight there, maybe have some sort of meetup in Washington, and then go to the inauguration and drive back Wednesday night. The commute from home to Washington is, I haven't figured out whether I want to drive or not. I'm sort of torn about that. It's like a 4.5-hour drive, and then the traffic in Washington will be a nightmare. On the other hand, if I don't drive it, if Good Logic doesn't drive it, then you're sort of left at the mercy. And also, what do you do with your what does one do with their luggage? Maybe if I don't have a car, like what am I doing with my luggage all the time? At 2 p.m. on Monday, when I'm at the inauguration, like what am I doing with that? Not sure what to do. Not sure. Gotta figure all that out. Uncivil. You coming in? You coming in on the 20th? The Harris campaign delivered on one campaign promise. They promised me a campaign. Nice. Got the joy in my life. They really, really delivered right there at the end. They did. I don't know if you saw this. Apparently, Walz's own district voted in Minnesota, his own county, voted Trump. Oh my gosh. They talk about how his circle of people, why don't you trust the circle of people around you? I think we should trust the constituents around Walz. This is the thought. They hate him. Rhonda's frustrated. There's no new emojis. Rhonda is really mad at me for this because Rhonda's been working very hard on the emojis. Rhonda's frustrated on the whole emoji thing. Rhonda will find her peace soon. She will find her peace soon, sooner than you think, but not tonight. But Rhonda will find her peace soon, God willing. If Q Revere orgs a bus from New England, Florida to DC, will you help? Tell me what you want me to do. Good Logic has like a new policy where very hesitant to ever commit to anything at all. It's like if there's a commitment that's made, that is a promise that in my brain and my heart that will be kept. And so unless you tell Good Logic a little more about what your expectation is when you say help, then Good Logic cannot commit. If you could be a little more descriptive, then Good Logic may be able to help. Some effort, certainly. Yeah. Take the high-speed train, Joe, to DC, the Acela. Right. But I don't want to just be there for the inauguration, pop in and pop out. I sort of want to make a thing out of it, which is why I'm going to have to go there the day before. And once I'm going the day before, I'm thinking there's going to be people in town who I might want to see, like Pozo. You know? And once I'm meeting Pozo, who actually knows me, Jack Posobiec, once I'm meeting him, there's good opportunities to meet other folk. This is a nice opportunity for me to meet Robert Barnes, Viva Fry. You know, folks I've never met before who I sort of have interactions with. And that's how you start, That's how you start making connections. I think it could be like a really beneficial thing. It'd be an exciting thing to meet people who are friends of mine. So there's just like a lot of upside to being there for more than just the 2 hours of the inauguration. So yeah, that's why that's part of the plan. We haven't seen the real backlash yet. We have 2 assassination attempts, several self-unaliving so far. The real meltdown has yet to come. Part of the reason there may not be the level of meltdown that we anticipated was because of the results. The result was so resounding in his favor that now if you're screaming and freaking out about it, I'm not aware of any situations that they're like, oh, this is where it was wrongfully taken from us. Plus, a large part of their strength is they feel like we are the majority of the country. The majority of the country wants this. We are in the majority and we're being dictated to by the minority. They never express it like that, or rarely do, occasionally, but not too often. But it comes across like a large part of their frustration and outrage that we saw in 2016 is this is what most of the country wants. And because of what they would call a quirk in the Constitution, Trump got in instead of Hillary. When you have Kamala losing by 5 million votes, that's something that saps a large part of the anger and outrage, where it's just like, okay, we lost electorally and on the popular votes. We lost in both realms. And we have no reason to assume that any of those numbers are inaccurate, or that there was any sort of shenanigans, so now it's just, you just freaking lost. I mean, you just flat out lost badly. So it's harder to have this stoked outrage when it's very apparent that you lost, rather than when it's more clouded as to whether or not you lost. Retweet a tweet about a bus from Northeast. Oh, that for sure. That's not a problem. Yeah, retweeting tweets. That yeah, for sure. Northeast Florida to DC, sure. I started watching Hunger Games again tonight. Remind me of where we almost went. I think we should watch this in the Patriot before every election. Seriously. Good call, Deb. Fly in. You and Posa know each other? I'm not sure of him. He has a Phantom X account that was exposed by Ryan Macbeth. Okay. At the Steve Bannon's trial, when I went down to DC, all of a sudden, some rando person just starts calling Joe Neerman, and I'm like, turn around, and I was like, holy hell, that's Pozo. Holy hell, he's calling me. He knows my name. I was like, I didn't even know he knew who I was. He knows my full name. If he knew Joe and not Joe, I was very surprised. And then I bumped into him in New York also. And we spent like 45 minutes talking there. I've got his phone number. He never responds when I text him. That's the level of relationship I have with him. The level of relationship I have with Jack Pozo is if he sees me, he'll talk to me and we'll hang out. When I text him, zero response. So I was like, hey, can I get you on the show? I don't even know if you saw it. Like zero response. I'm sure he gets a lot of texts like that. So I don't want to overstate the nature of my relationship with Pozo. I think you all get exactly what level it is. I'm thinking of going to DC, but I have a brother-in-law in Virginia to stay at. Would make a trip with kids to visit family. Yeah. There's a couple of people I know in DC, but I'd feel weird asking. Susie Wiles announced chief of staff. Thoughts? H. Coffee was hoping for Vivek, but she did run a strong campaign for Trump in the end. Joe actually had this story queued up for today. Joe had this story queued up here. Where is it? Joe had this story queued up for you. Here it is. All right, queued up. So, seeing as how you brought this up, we will jump right into it.
Donald Trump has just announced moments ago that he is going to name Susie Wiles, his campaign co-chair, to be the chief of staff of his presidency once he gets to office starting in January. And I do want to read you the statement here. He says, Susie Wiles just helped me achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history and was an integral part of both my 2016 and 2020 successful campaigns. Susie is tough, smart, innovative, and is universally admired and respected. Susie will continue to work tirelessly to make America great again. It is a well-deserved honor to have Susie as the first ever female chief of staff in United States history.
That's the groundbreaking appointment that he made that is referenced in the description here. This is it. First female chief of staff. Chief of staff is basically right-hand man, or in this case, woman, to the president.
No doubt that she will make our country proud. As we talked about earlier today, Susie had been the top contender going into this. She is someone who makes Donald Trump feel comfortable. She is also someone who has really lasted the longest in Donald Trump's orbit, a place that is known for knife fighting.
Knife fighting, known for knife fighting. Yeah, because the reason it's known for knife fighting is because here's why. In all political circles, there's knife fighting. But whenever someone is involved in a knife fight in those inner circles, they try writing a book about it. But legacy media doesn't really care so much unless the knife fighting is in Trump's orbit. So that's why they're known for knife fighting. It's the same knife fighting. It's the same playground antics. In every playground, there's playground drama. But this drama has heightened scrutiny from mainstream media.
And backstabbing. She has been loyal to the former president, a constant by his side since he left office in 2021. One thing I will say, Jake, she had some stipulations that he clearly agreed to, telling one source that she didn't want the clown car to be able to have access to the White House at any time, meaning those people who they don't want near Donald Trump. She clearly won that argument. She will be the first female chief of staff in United States history.
Which now raises speculation. Who is in what Susie Wiles calls the clown car? Who's in the clown car?
That's huge news. I am interested in learning, and maybe you can make a list of the people who would qualify as the clowns, because I'm sure everybody has their different take on who might constitute members of the clown car. But that is interesting news. And
would love to know the list of those names. Would love to know that list.
She certainly ran Donald Trump's most.
One would think it's the people who have been co-indicted, perhaps.
Professional
in Georgia.
Campaign. Kristen Holmes with the breaking news. Thanks. Scott Jennings still with us. Scott, your reaction?
Oh, great pick. I think what was said in the statement is absolutely true. She's universally respected in the party. The organization of the campaign and the fact that he stuck with the leadership team all the way through, I think, is a testament to just what a great job that she did. Being the first female chief of staff in the White House, I think, is a huge marker for both President Trump and the Republican Party. So I think if she can bring the kind of discipline and organization to the White House that she just ran this campaign with, Donald Trump's got a really good chance to get off to a great start and begin achieving objectives right out of the way. So you're going to get a lot of attaboys from across the Republican spectrum for picking Susie Wiles tonight,
including from Good Lawgic. Good Lawgic is an attaboy as well. It's a great pick. It's a great pick. As we discussed last night, this campaign was very professional from A to Z, and working around so many different landmines, whether it was the fraud cases or the ridiculous allegations from the E. Jean Carrolls and all the whole hush money trial in New York, just navigating those waters while leading a campaign where you are fighting against legacy media tooth and nail. They are trying to shut you out, silence you, and you're dealing with a client in Donald Trump individually who, let's face it, is a very difficult client to control because Donald Trump is going to be Trump. And that's usually very good and occasionally explosively terrible. Where, comments like the bleach thing, that was just a bad moment in the way he phrased it. And she's got to oversee all those moments and try and make them as infrequent as possible and control that. And she did an exceptional job at a very, very, in a very difficult environment, and where I think most people would fail. We saw what a disastrous job the Harris campaign did in comparison. It's not even close. I mean, they were terrible. And Susie Wiles did a great job. So as far as the role of chief of staff, it seems to be somewhat different from a campaign co-chair, but sure. Seems like, especially he's comfortable working with her, and she's she's displayed loyalty. The way they use loyalty in that report, they seem to almost use it as a derisive, like, "Oh, she's been loyal to Trump throughout," as if that makes her, she's pretty much, Hitler's mistress. But the loyalty is a good thing. It's a very good thing, because one of the things that he struggles to find is people who are not looking to turn on him in a heartbeat. So if she's displayed loyalty, he in particular needs people who are not looking to use him, but are looking to actually help him and work with him. So the loyalty that they're mockingly, there was a tone there. There was a tone there when they referenced the loyalty of derisiveness. Loyalty is a very important factor for him, because so many people who come into his orbit are looking to use him and looking to take advantage of his fame, his popularity, his power, his money, and try and spin off from that into their own appearance, their own role on The View, or their own role as far as, starring in some drama that legacy media wants to drum up. So her playing that role, and after displaying that loyalty and showing competence to handle really difficult political situations, seems like it's a good choice. And cherry on the top is first female appointment to chief of staff. All the better. Really slap in the face to you, freaking stupid, idiotic Mark Cuban, who's sitting there saying he never surrounds himself with strong, intelligent women. There you go. Strong woman. Obviously, clearly very intelligent. So, great choice. Flying from New Jersey wastes more time in airports than just driving or taking the train. We'll see. Need inauguration tickets distro through legislators. Really? I need to get tickets? How do I get tickets? That's a good question. Now I got to figure out how to get tickets. Tickets to the inauguration. Robert Gouvet hinted that he may be interested in doing a joint meetup with you for inauguration. Might be worth hitting him up so you guys can organize. Thank you. I'll definitely reach out to him. Ladybugs is in the clown car. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the clown car. What do you guys think? Who do you think is in the clown car? I'm hoping that's a reference to the neocons. Let me see what you guys think over here in the ghetto. What do you think's in the clown car, ghetto? Johnny Reb saying, "We did it, Joe!" And obviously, Mini Tika hitting me. Here's a bit towards you. Joe goes to Washington, don't drive. If I can avoid driving, I definitely will. Everyone knows I hate driving. I hate it. We did it, Joe. I have a son who's actually in a yeshiva in Greater Washington area. So I was thinking I'd like to stop in and see him. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Go in the morning. Maybe I can stop by there in the afternoon, then have a meetup in the evening. Maybe we can do that. Who knows? We'll see. We shall see. Contact your members of Congress. Tickets are normally assigned by senators and representatives to reach out to them in the weeks leading up to the inauguration. All of mine are Democrats. I'm in New Jersey. Billy Prempa lost. And all of every political leader here. Phil Murphy getting an invite to the inauguration. Cory Booker getting an invitation to the inauguration. I don't think so. Yeah, because it's just nothing fun about it. It's not a fun thing to do. Her dad is Pat Summerall. Does look, there is a bit. That's not a bad call. Wait, is that real? Is that real? Susie Wiles' dad, is that real? Because she looks, I see a lot of Pat Summerall in that face and that hair, everything about it. Pat Summerall was great. I think you're serious. Why are neocons ladybugs? I don't know. You're saying it's real. Yes. All right. Trump's lawyer threatened Letitia James with criminal conspiracy against rights charges if she continues to wage lawfare on DJT. Comments? So, thought about covering this story. Haven't really looked at it very closely. The reason, okay, so this is not a story that to me is terribly interesting unless until something happens, which is why because I sort of this was the thought process that went through my head. Nothing's happened yet. We don't know what she's talking about doing. She made some veiled comment that she's, still going after him. For what? You got your judgment for as good as it is, for as long as it stands. She's the one who headed off the civil case against him under Executive Law 63 for his business, for his fraud based on the bank loans that he had, and got Judge Encaron to enter a $450 million plus judgment against him, which I think with interest is $490 or something, $480. And yeah, that's under review by the First Department. The First Department seems very dedicated towards issuing a decision where they're slamming it back out of existence, if not greatly curtailing how significant it is. But they seem to be really bothered. We covered. I live streamed here the oral arguments where we were watching judges hound her attorneys, saying, has anybody ever been charged for committing fraud when there was no victim? Anyone, ever? Have we ever seen a judgment of this size for fraud? Ever? So you have some brand new thing with this ridiculous size judgment where there's no complaint no one complaining of harm. And, has anyone ever, no, well, we saw that it's permitted. And the follow-up questions were like, if you're saying that this is under her purview, give us an example of something that would be outside her purview. And they were like, Like, we don't think that her purview is quite as broad as you think it is. So where do you think the limitation is? It was an embarrassment. This is why I say there were two judges who seemed to be okay with sanctioning it. And the other three, and Trump needs to get 3 out of 5. The other 3, all of them were just assailing her attorneys with very aggressive questions that implied that they didn't like any answers she was given. One of them was the judge who rejected my application, my TRO, that she seemed to be very much on Trump's side with respect to this judgment. So, rumor has it he's going to pick neocons Rubio and Pompeo again. Kennedy is furious. That would be terrible. But we always hear rumors about who he's going to pick, and then they don't always bear fruit. So, no, don't want to see Rubio. Don't want to see Pompeo. I agree with Kennedy. Those are terrible choices. They're still your reps, just like White House visit. But they don't get, I don't know, they have tickets? Why would they give it to me? Bring Nate with you since this is MAGA country. He's in Texas. If it hasn't already been said, good Lord, joining you for Attorney General, and you get to keep your channel. That would be awesome. I would strongly consider accepting the role. I just doubt it's going to happen. I don't have quite the CV that they would really be looking for in most circumstances, just to be fair. Oh, see, isn't this wonderful news? This is insanity. This is the insanity of the world we're living in here. Oh, look at this. I mean, Europe is basically, it's like 1940 in Europe all over again. Israeli National Council urging all Israelis in Amsterdam, don't go outside, shut yourselves in your hotel rooms. This is like they can go into Anne Frank's attic there in Amsterdam. Cover up any signs you're Israeli/Jewish. Get out of the country as soon as you can. This is what the left has brought us to. This is what the left has brought us to. Unbelievable. It's Europe 2024. It could be it's Europe 2024. A little different from Europe 1944. Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, fans. So, see Dylan for AG. She's based. I don't know who Dylan is. Okay. So, got one story out of the way that we sort of walked into that I didn't plan on covering so early, but it's fine that we did it in that order. It's fine that we did it in that order. It came up. And let's the changes are, I really want to start focusing on the changes that are happening around the country as a result of the election. Thank God.
News, the mayor just,
and it's not simply in Trump's orbit, but just recognition of Trump coming to power has changed things here, even in New York.
announced that the city will no longer issue vouchers to migrants to pay for food, ending a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others.
This pilot program in New York City, drenched in both humanity and controversy, distributed debit cards to migrants.
Drenched in humanity and controversy. This is how they... Drenched in humanity, controversy, and idiocy.
Families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einier following the breaking news for us. Josh?
Bill, it's a program that, as you say, generated plenty of controversy, but now its absence may raise even more questions. The so-called Immediate Response Cards pilot program was designed to help feed migrant families who'd found themselves in New York with no way to afford food.
I didn't know.
The one-year contract provided what the city described as culturally relevant food to 2,600 migrant families, allowing them to basically buy what they wanted. A family of four with two kids under 5 got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city.
So they're giving free board, free food. Just come to America. It's great.
He said would actually save taxpayers millions a year. It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the needs of some migrant groups, and it ended up just going to waste. For more than a year, the city was groaning under the weight of more than 200,000 asylum seekers. Officials say the migrant population has actually reduced lately. In fact, a massive shelter on Roosevelt Island is in the process of closing. In the meantime, Mayor Adams spoke on the phone yesterday with President-elect Donald Trump, who had vowed during his campaign to mass deport migrants. Aside from congratulating him on his win, though, Adams today would not say what they discussed.
One can rest assured, I can tell you what they discussed. Eric Adams is like, dude, how soon after January 20th can you start cleaning these folks out? I'll assemble them all on Roosevelt Island. You'll bring in boats, and we just start boating. We get these boats and we bring them down to Argentina and say start all over again. Like it's like almost like go back to the beginning. So we'll ship them down to Brazil. They seem to be very woke there. They'll be very happy to take them in there. We'll ship them down to that big fat portion of Brazil that's sticking out on a risk board and drop them off in some port there. Tell them, make your way over to Rio. There's a party going on. And if you get there by Cinco de Mayo, there's an extra bonus in it for you. And how many of these boats can we get? And we'll just load them up. That's almost certainly what the I wasn't privy to the conversation, but fairly certain that was the nature of the conversation between Eric Adams. He's like, don't worry, I got a couple 100,000 people. You're having trouble rounding them up? I'll bring them for you. I'll tell them I'll give them like an extra 2 weeks on their free food credit card. If they just gotta move over to this housing over here in Roosevelt Island, and then we'll load them on the boats, grab them in the boats, stuff them in the boats. That was a dark joke. That was a dark joke. Sorry. Back to my roots. of watching the musical 1776 as a child. Cram them in the boats. Stuff in the boats. Well, yeah, that's what Eric Adams certainly wants to do. Not for anything that's intimated in or stated rather overtly in that song in 1776. But yeah, which is free boat ride. Woohoo! We're circling Manhattan. It's a very long circle around Manhattan. It's like just go back. It's almost like, sort of like you step in the wrong. It's like a video game. You step on the wrong place, you have to go back to the start. That's basically, it's just sort of like vortex back to the start. You end up back in Venezuela. There you go. Free boat ride. And I agree with this. Legal immigrants are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. Nobody got a problem with legal immigrants. Totally agree with that. Harmeet Dillon. Oh, who employs Ron Coleman? Oh, that's what you meant when you say Dillon for AG? Maybe. Usually they get someone who's been like a career prosecutor. That's usually, but yeah. Lawyer. Adam's very happy Trump won. He's hoping for a pardon and will be happy to help Trump in his administration. Trump can't give him a pardon for New York crimes that he's being charged with. Is it federal crimes he's getting hit with? I don't remember anymore. Could be he's hoping for a pardon. Could be. Because Trump identified, he said they're going to come after him next because he spoke out against illegal immigration. So that's also part of the conversation was, yo, dude, can you hook me up with a pardon and help me bail out over here? I like Israel, the armed forces have Iran. Okay. They're stopping because government can track them? No. Eric Adams is frustrated. He's up to his eyeballs in illegal immigrants. He spoke out against the illegal immigrant situation, saying we can't handle it anymore. Stop sending them here. We can't handle it. And the next thing you know, he's facing all sorts of indictments, which Trump predicted that, you spoke out against illegal immigration, even though you're a Democrat, they're going to start coming after you now. And they did. Cruz says, FYI, DM you a couple interesting stories if wanted. Well, I appreciate you guys are awesome. I love when people share stories with me. It's easier if it happens before the show than during the show. Much easier if that happens like that. But I don't know what that is. This was shared with me, which this is hilarious. This is pretty hilarious. Let me share this with you. Apparently, Trump sent a letter. Dear management at McDonald's. See, I don't think he really sent this. I think someone else made this up because it wouldn't have the McDonald's logo on top like that. But please accept this letter as a formal notice of my resignation from my position at McDonald's effective Monday, January 20th, 2021. During my tenure here, I've enjoyed the opportunity to serve our customers, contribute to the fast-paced environment of this establishment. From flipping burgers to making fries and managing the drive-thru, I've learned a lot about both the restaurant business and the value of hard work. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be part of such an iconic American brand. The experience has been invaluable. I am grateful for the skills I've developed, which I believe will serve me well in future endeavors. I'm committed to ensuring a smooth transition during my remaining time here. Please let me know how I can assist in finding and training my replacement or in any other capacity to help maintain the high standards of service at our location. Thank you again for everything. I look forward to my next adventure. I leave with fond memories of my time at McDonald's. Sincerely, Donald Trump. That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. All right. But speaking of funny, I want to share a couple of things that made me laugh. Things that made me laugh. This is certainly up there with it. This is certainly up there. This is great. I love this guy.
Donald Trump won, and I am very, very afraid that he might deport my mother-in-law. She entered illegally to the country, and she lives in Street 4, number 47, apartment D, New York. I am very, very concerned. That's right behind the green apartment. Yeah. I have nothing bad happened to her. The gate is always open.
The gate's always
You don't have any dogs either. Street 4, number 47, apartment D.
This is so good.
If she got deported, how my life would be. Why? Street 4, number 47, apartment D.
Throw out the address one more time there. One more time. So good. That was really, really good. That guy made me laugh. That was funny. And there was a couple more of these idiots out there. This one was shared by Adam Kriegler, friend of the show, Adam Kriegler.
I say we pass a law that requires anyone who voted for that orange piece of shit to wear their Trump hat 24/7.
Like she drops that like that's like some horrific punishment. But apparently she's thinking of it similar, I guess, to like putting a Jewish star on them, but we're gonna make them like wear the MAGA hat star.
7. Because conservatives are dangerous for anyone who isn't white, Christian, or male.
It's not true. That's a lie.
Completely dangerous. Like dynamite waiting to go off in your hand. So I think we should all get a public service warning. Don't you? I say we.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm wearing mine 24/7. I don't want to ever take mine off. I wore mine into a library a few days before the election in a pretty liberal area, and I was looking to get help from the librarian in getting a passport, and they treated me just fine. I find like I think most people in person, there are very few people in person who are as insane as folks like this. Like she wouldn't have the cojones to say something like this to someone wearing a MAGA hat. They might feel it internally, but they're cowards at the end of the day. Cowards! Cowards, I say. Oh, he's under federal indictment? I looked at it a while ago. Started looking at it a while ago. I looked at it briefly a while ago. Yeah, well, then you could get it. Can we trash truck and McDonald's at an inauguration? It's the ultimate troll. We get trash truck and McDonald's at an inauguration. It's the ultimate troll. That would be cool. Nikki D has been my best investment. They're awesome. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. FYI, damn you, cover got this. Let me see what you DM me. You're all excited about DMing me stuff for the show. What did you send me here? I'm not doing the black thing. I'm going to cover that. Joe Biden's address nation at Trump. Yeah, so Joe Biden addressed the nation today and talked about transition. I watched the first 3 minutes of it. We can watch it together. Let's watch it together. That's another thing Barracuda shared with me. I watched the first 3 minutes of it. It's not that long. The point that Barracuda makes is he comes out to really loud applause, and when he starts saying things that they don't like, they get definitely silent.
Good morning.
He looks so spry. He looks so spry.
Thank you.
I guess it's not a lid day.
Please. Thank you. Good to see this cabinet and staff together here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to see you all. Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character.
You see how easily he lies? He doesn't even believe any of the things he's saying.
She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character.
True character.
She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran.
It was a cluster fart. It was a disastrous campaign. There's nothing they should be proud of.
You know, the struggle for the soul of America since our very founding has always been an ongoing debate and
That's
still
true.
vital today. I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions.
Elections have
Chooses
consequences.
one or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent. And it can be trusted, win or lose. I also hope we can restore the respect for all our election workers who busted their necks and took risks at the outset. We should thank them. Thank them for staffing voting sites, counting the votes, protecting the very integrity of the election. Many of them are volunteers who do it simply out of love for their country. And as they did their duty as citizens, I will do my duty as president.
And I'll tell you this much. That's one of the things I thought was important to acknowledge. If you were with me on election night, if you weren't with me, then you missed me saying in the opening that we should acknowledge that the overwhelming majority of people who volunteer to work at these election sites, overwhelming majority on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, are well-meaning, well-intentioned individuals who are simply giving of their time because they believe in the process and they want to help it run smoothly. There's the occasional bad apple here and there, and they should be exposed and excoriated and, frankly, prosecuted. But the overwhelming majority of them are hardworking and good people, like with well-intentioned good people.
I'll fulfill my oath and I will honor the Constitution. On January 20th, we'll have a peaceful transfer of power here in America. To all our incredible staff, supporters, cabinet members, all the people who've been hanging out with me for the last 40 years, God love you, as my mother would say. Thank you so much. You put so much into the past 4 years. I know it's a difficult time. You're hurting. I hear you and I see you. But don't forget all that we accomplished.
What?
It's been a historic presidency.
No, it hasn't.
Not because I'm president, because what we've done.
Oh,
what
yeah?
you've done.
Yeah, like
A presidency for all Americans.
this is
Much of the work we've done.
This is a presidency which lost the House. It made it impossible, next to impossible for Kamala to win. That's what your presidency did. You were so terrible that even though you had legacy media on your side, America said, no, your policies suck. You're a disaster. This was historically bad.
Is already
America
felt
was
by the
said.
American people. But the vast majority of it will not be felt. We felt over the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
We have legislation we passed.
So when good times come under Trump, we'll claim that was all Biden.
Yes. It's just only now just really kicking in. We're going to see over $1 trillion worth of infrastructure work done, changing people's lives in rural communities.
How are your grandchildren going to pay for it?
And communities that are in real difficulty because it takes time to get it done. And so much more. It's going to take time, but it's there. The road ahead is clear, assuming we sustain it. There's so much we can get done and will get done based on the way the legislation was passed. And it's truly historic. We're leaving behind the strongest economy in the world.
Which is a joke compared to the economy that Trump built.
I know people are still hurting, but things are changing rapidly. Together, we've changed America for the better. Now we have 74 days to finish the term, our term. Let's make every day count. That's the responsibility we have to the American people. Look, folks, you all know it in your lives. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get
They're so sad. They're
but
so
the measure of our
sad.
character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up. Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up. That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting. It's a story for all of us, not just some of us. The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged.
We need to prosecute him for his corruption in Ukraine.
We need to keep going. And above all, we need to keep the faith. I'm so proud to have worked with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it. God bless you all. God bless America. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So Barracuda, I disagree with you. They were quiet throughout the entire thing. They were loud when he came out. As soon as he started talking, they were silent. So that's respect for letting him talk. That's all that is. So I don't think that that's reflective of them being upset by his message. I don't take it that way. But yeah, he's desperately trying to get spin right now. I agree that he is thrilled that she lost. I think he hates her. I think he's thrilled that she lost, and he wants to protect his legacy, and he figures these people are the mouthpieces who are going to be living after him, who are going to be judging him and trying to and hopefully singing his praises after he's gone. So that's why that's what. But yeah, I agree with you. Internally, he's thrilled. He's thrilled that she did worse in every single county than he did 4 years ago. Historic. It's going to be known as the worst ever. Yeah, maybe all the Democrats said no to take over for Joe after debate because they knew it was a crap show. Kamala just put her head down and went to work. If it mattered, can they executive order Roe v. Wade? think so. I don't see how they could do that. It's really, I don't see how they could do that. My personal opinion, not based on Dobbs' decision. Biden trying to plant the seed to be able to take credit for when the evil orange man comes back and fixes everything. It takes time. Come on, man. They did the same thing with his first administration. All those great years under Trump was all Barack. That all kicked in. It only kicks in well when Republicans are in. It's like the seeds are always planted by Democrats, and things will suck, awful, terrible. Everyone's miserable, and then those seeds magically blossom the day that a Republican sets foot in office. It's so stupid. Like then, and some of their suckers actually buy it. Some of them do. Suckers like this idiot right here. This is the queen of idiots. You can see the tears in his eyes. The tears in his eyes.
Let's be honest. It was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go.
Really? The illegal? Okay. What about the legal immigrants? What about them?
For healthcare, for our clients.
Let's get that little again.
Make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate.
For our climate, it's everything.
For science.
For
journalism.
Science just died yesterday. Propagandist journalism is down the tubes now.
For justice, for free speech.
For justice. For free speech. Terrible night for free speech. Oh my God. What an idiot.
Like for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth.
Oh my God. This guy was on the Man Show. He was on the freaking Man Show. It's such a cock. Oh my God.
And democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who.
Terrible night for bureaucracy. Terrible night for fake media. Journalism. God, what a loser.
Voted against him, and guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
No, you just don't realize it yet. Oh, maybe you do realize it because it's your elite class, which is the biggest losers. Because no one listen. It proved that no one listens to idiots like you. You lost the popular vote. You know how hard it is for Democrats to lose the popular vote? You're starting off with a couple million people in advantage. How many Democrats are there versus Republicans? I think they have there's like a 5 million advantage that they have, and you still lost the popular vote. How sucky must your policies have been? Idiots. Someone shared this. Was it this one? This is a little clip from that.
Fragile little snowflake. What a blowhard. He's a blowhard and a snowflake. He's a blowflake is what he is. He should change the hats to say "Make America Wine Again." It's more than half of this country voted for the criminal, still trying to figure out what happened. Fragile little snowflake. What a blowhard. He's a blowhard and a snowflake. He's a blowflake is what he is.
Still trying to figure out what happened.
He should change the hats to say "Make America Wine Again." It's more than half of this country voted for the criminal, still trying to figure out what happened.
I'll tell you what happened. I'll walk you through it, Jimmy. Should I walk you through it, Jimmy? You picked a much, much, much weaker candidate who looked like a far less effective leader and spouted far worse policies. No, didn't spout out any policies. Never basically said, I don't have to share policies. The limited extent I'll talk about policies, I won't try to explain how they're going to be funded. On the heels, and then she came out and said, I'm going to keep doing the same stupidity that my predecessor did, and you won't be able to tell the difference between us on the fact that I'm a woman and I don't look like her. So yeah, so you had a much worse candidate, much worse policy, spouting much worse policies with a much worse campaign that they had no idea how to give any sort of messaging, who worked much less to win than Trump did. This guy is 80 years old and he's doing 4 freaking rallies in 3 different states in the same day, day after day after day after day. And she's going to these little gymnasiums a couple times a week. He's talking off the cuff all the time. Also starts going to personal stories. She's reading from the same stupid script over and over again as if she's got some novel there that she's reading. Only it's not like Moby Dick. It's like it's basically like some Judy Blume story. I grew up in a middle-class family. It's so stupid. So yeah, America said we don't need the patronizing candidate who we didn't vote for. No one's ever voted for. No one's ever liked her. Never accomplished anything. Was really pretty bad at the one job that she was famously given in overseeing the border. Can't tell us what her policy is. Doesn't seem like a very effective leader. Seems kind of stupid and circle jerks around every time she's asked a hard question. And we can't really imagine how she's going to fare going up against the likes of Xi and Putin. And P.S., she wants to follow exactly the footsteps of the disastrous path that got us where we are right now, which we can't even survive with. I can't figure out why they didn't take that. How lacking in any self-awareness are you? Do you not understand people can't pay their bills? Do you not understand that the price of housing is so out of control that young people can't figure out how they're ever going to buy a home? And that a massive part of that problem is that this woman helped oversee the influx of 20 million illegal aliens, that they sort of need to sleep somewhere. That's going to cause a housing crisis right there. And inflation is so sky high that people can't even figure out how they're going to pay the rent. They can't buy a house. Buy a house is that's like thinking decades down the road. Right now, they can't figure out how they're going to pay a rent on their mortgage, and still pay their food bills and their heat bills and insurance and gas. Common everyday living expenses that people who are not fat cats in Hollywood actually suffer to struggle to meet on a month-by-month basis. Self-absorbed, pompous windbag moron. Sorry. I hate that guy. I really hate that guy. One old guy's opinions. I haven't read this super chat. He always holds back. You need to let go once in a while. One old guy. Red democracy, all that hyperbolic language they used since 2016, the lawfare, all this talk now is what they will do. The real authoritarians are leaving office now, but will continue their quest for total rule. This is true. This is what late night got wrong. Johnny Carson stayed out of politics. Just be funny. Yes, he did. Jimmy No Balls. Guarantee before Kimmel went live, he said, if you see me crying, please just clap loud so nobody notices. Kimmel is what happens when your testosterone drops. Yeah, this is a problem, They're turning the frogs in Kimmel gay. Fight the decay, lift weight, eat meat, be a MAGA right winger. Amen. Men should only cry when their father dies or their dog dies. I think Tulsi 2028 sweeps the election if done right. Tulsi 28? We got a long time to think about that. A long time. We don't know what the world's going to look like 4 years from now. We got a long time to think about it. But the candidates are clear. The whole circle around him are the candidates. Everyone up. There's probably going to be the three. There's going to be 3 or 4 primary massive candidates just in the Republican Party alone who were all up on stage on the night he won. Her adult life was working as a Home Depot, working as a Jezebel is her only resume highlight. Jimmy Reddy has his home off girls on trampolines. Why would he care about the common man? Yeah. Oh, he has his home off of girls on trampolines. Why would he care about the common man? Kimmel has always been divinest, clueless, deviant guy. He's just insufferable. He's literally insufferable. He's kind of like this guy right here. I kind of wish he would join up with this guy right here, because when I see Jimmy Kimmel, I think of this guy.
Good morning. It is November 7th, Thursday, and got my lipstick on today, so I'm a little bit more together.
Phew.
Putting a plan together. I cannot live in a country.
I like the background medieval lute music that you hear going on there in the background. Love that. I really love. I really do. It makes you feel like, to a simpler time, which we always romanticize as everyone being happy and working the fields, when probably most of them were pretty miserable and dying of disease and desperately trying to survive. But in the movies, they're always happy, and it kind of looks like it's like a scene out of Lord of the Rings.
That voted for Trump. I cannot spend another 4 years under that man.
Oh no, you can. Come on, you can do it. This guy actually has a plan. He has a plan.
A bit more together. We're putting a plan together.
We got a plan.
I cannot live in a country that voted for Trump. I cannot spend another 4 years under that man. And so we have made.
Trust me, I don't think he wants another 4 years on top of you.
The decision that we are leaving. We're putting a plan together. Our plan is to go back to Australia. By back, that is where obviously Tam and our daughter Jordan was from. I'm working on immigration paperwork for spousal visa. I'll probably end up going over on a tourist visa initially, because the spousal visa takes a while. I'll probably have to leave at some point and go to like Vietnam or Maria.
Wow. I gotta tell you, I give props to Lipstick Dude. In two ways. Number one, he makes sure that his lipstick matches the earrings. That's very impressive. Very impressive. Few people are sufficiently concerned about matching the shade of lipstick to their earrings. That's very impressive. Number two is he's standing by his convictions. He's like, I said I'm leaving, and I'm leaving. I'm like really leaving. I plan on being out of here before he takes office. That's all right. All right, look, it's a shame it had to come to this, but we all get it, and adios.
And then come back to Australia, waiting for the paperwork to go through. But we're getting quotes on selling the house. We're getting ready. I'm getting quotes on moving boxes to Australia. We're getting quotes on moving our dog and cat to Australia. And we are in the process of selling everything. I'm hoping to be out of here by mid-January. So that's the news. We've buckled up. We've made a decision. We are not spending any more time in America under Donald Trump. There's just no way. And I feel bad and sorry for all the women and all the members of the queer community that are still here, and what life would be like under that person.
Oh, I'm sure. No, that's going to be like the torture beatings and stuff like that. That's almost certainly coming. No, look, you should leave now before it gets too bad. I think that's a wise move on your part.
So take care of yourselves.
Adios.
And I wish all of you the best. I will continue to post videos as we get ready for our travel out of here, and as well as continuing my NASA days, probably Saturday.
Wow.
But I want to give you an update on what we're doing. So hope you all have a great day.
A little choker there. He's all choked up. He's all choked up there with the choker. It looks like someone's trying to strangle him. Like there's like someone's got like yanking him from behind and digging into the throat there. I'm gonna say this. I really genuinely mean this. At least he's not one of these people who was full of crap when he's like, if Trump wins, I'm leaving. He's like, no, I really am leaving. And I give credit to that. I got it. I think he's out of his mind on so many levels that it's a mix of like, you don't know whether to laugh or cry when you look at him, right? I mean, look at him. I mean, just serious. No, just like pause for a second. Pretend you never saw something like this before, and then just look at him, and you're like, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. But I can give credit where credit's due, which is he's obviously someone who means what he says and doesn't make idle threats. He's like, I'm out of here. He wins, Trump's, I'm out of here. Assuming he goes through with it. I'm like, all right, that's something. That's something. That's also an option. You can laugh, cry, or throw up, I guess. But there you go. There you go. So I thought I'd share that with you because you all need to, some people mean it when they say it. Occasionally, and I think it's okay. I think it's probably for the best. I really do. I think it's really for the best. If they want to go, all right, go. Okay. All right. Oh, hopefully it takes a lot of folks with him. Take Jimmy Kimmel with you. She lost because the only policy she ran was she's not Trump. And people, I think, realize that makes you one of 8 billion other people. She's also not as likable, authentic, coherent, or pro-America. Nice. Yes. Kimmy's crying because there's 2 lists of names. He's on both. Care to gander a guess on the lists? One of them is Diddy. And the other, I would say, is probably Epstein. Diddy, Epstein. Epstein and Diddy. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing you're referencing. Under Trump 2024 project, we will be offer safe passage out of the USA for anyone who wants to leave. I like that a lot. Once he said he's leaving, I thought the plan was more along the lines of Heaven's Gate, but good on him. It takes balls. It does take balls. She has plans to go scare children in Vietnam. That's probably true, too. I'm late to discuss what Fed Chair Powell said. No, I did not. I didn't cover what Powell said. I thought about talking about it. Federal Chair was asked a question. Do I have it? Do I have it here? No, I don't have it here. Did I post this? I already said that. Okay. I did post it. Yeah, Federal Chair Powell said when asked in an interview, saying that a reporter said, "Hey, so a lot of people in Trump's inner circle are saying that they asked you to step down. Are you going to do that? If Trump asks you to leave, will you leave?" And he said, "No." So, do you think you legally have the right? He has the right to fire you? And then he pauses and goes, "No." And that made me look it up. I was like, can the president fire the chairman of the Federal Reserve? There is a 5-year contract that he gets signed. The appointment comes from the president, but it comes on the recommendation of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. I don't know that he unilaterally can just do it. I think he can make it happen, but he has to have other people sign off on it. So I think he's technically correct. It's a 5-year appointment, which was he was initially appointed by Trump, I think, in 2016. Yeah, that's correct. He was appointed by Trump in 2017 and re-upped by Biden. And it's set to expire in 2026, his appointment. And there's talk about, and Trump seems to want him out. I think that Trump could probably make it happen, but it's not as simple as him saying you're fired. Like under the law, I don't think it's as simple, even though you would think, hey, he's the head of a federal executive agency. That's something you would think the chief of the executive office would have the right to just fire him. It's a complex area of law that I only started looking at 10 minutes before showtime. So I don't want to weigh in and say he doesn't have the authority, but I will say that from what I've seen so far, it seems as if he may not have the authority. The article that I was actually pulling up was a CNN article over here, which, because I do homework beforehand. Federal Reserve, as we know, it could soon be turned on its head. It was actually this one here.
Amazon early holiday deals are here.
We don't need that. Trump is likely to allow Fed chair to stay. Powell said he can't be fired anyway. So This was the clip of what we were.
The president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on? Do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
So there you go. It's an interesting exchange because it seems as if he sounds like the tone of it is basically like, no, you have no authority. The president has no authority over me. President-elect Donald Trump remains likely to allow Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to serve out the remainder of his term, which expires in May 2026. According to his senior advisor, Trump requested anonymity to describe private conversations. The advisor cautioned that Trump could always change his mind, but his present view and that of Trump's economic team is that Powell should remain atop the central bank as it pursues a policy of cutting interest rates, which that's what Trump's going to want. He's going to want interest rates to come down because when interest rates come down, that's when money is more loose. When money is more loose, more money is being spent around, the economy tends to flourish. The problem is that when you loosen up the money, it tends to hurt inflation. So that's why that's part of what the Federal Reserve is continually trying to go through, that balance of stimulating the economy versus the potential impact of inflation. Trump in July told Bloomberg he had intended to keep Powell in his role at least for the duration of his term. Still, Powell was peppered with questions about his job security during his first post-election press conference Thursday. So it's an interesting exchange. Once we're talking about money, and now that I got dragged into talking about money as a result of this, I should share this with you. Let me share this with you. Oh, dang it. I just accidentally exited out. There it is. This I thought was an interesting explanation of tariffs from an economic professor. Once we're talking about money and Trump's policies, his economic policies, I think this is an interesting thing to sort of break down for you. So let's do it. Where he said, "I'm not going anywhere." And Sky News is pro him. Let me get to this that I want to share with you, and I'll get to the other chats.
Well, the income tax currently costs the American people $2.4 trillion a year. Trump proposes to replace it with tariffs of 20% on everybody but China, who gets an extra special 60% tariff. Altogether, that might bring in about $900 billion a year. This would grow America's economy like rocket fuel. Near term.
It's a little louder.
We're talking a 20% increase in the economy, so about a $15,000 raise for the typical American family. Note that's on.
I'm not sure I agree with that part of it.
On top of the $18,000 of income tax you would no longer have to pay. Knock off $3,000 for the tariffs, and you get about $30,000 in additional income for the typical American family, close to $3,000 per month. We might expect a doubling of annual economic growth. So 5% growth would be the new normal. Your kids would be 3 times richer than you, as it used to work in America. If we simply copy countries like Singapore, we might save around about $2 trillion or more. If a president can sell it to American voters, 30,000 is a chunk of change, Congress will go along out of sheer self-preservation. Plus, the bake sales would be lit.
That's economics professor Dr. Peter St. Onge, PhD, explaining exactly how replacing the income tax with tariffs would help all of Americans, especially middle and lower class Americans. Of course, the elite wouldn't want us getting $30,000 extra dollars a year and securing our wealth for our children. Doesn't that sound like it would make America great again? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And if voting for Trump gives me any shot at accessing the opportunities my parents had access to, economically speaking, then yeah, I'm going to vote for him. Trump 2024.
So the thing about tariffs that I think that professor, to be fair, to be engaged in critical analysis, he talks about how those tariffs could be used to replace income taxes, where instead of paying income taxes, the federal government will make money through tariffs. Well, okay, yeah, you would have more in when you're charging tariffs. the left called that a tax on the middle class. That's how they referred to it. And one of my responses to that claim that it's a tax on the middle class, think about what's happening with the tariff. Okay, you have coffee comes in from Guatemala, right? You put a tax on it because it's coming in from outside the country. You put an extra tax on it. That tax is going to be passed on to Americans. Are going to have to pay more for it. Now, if their taxes overall are lower, in that case, they would have more money to pay more for coffee. So in that case, you can sort of see how that's a balance. But it's less about coffee per se, especially seeing as how the target is China, where we say anything that's coming from China is going to have triple tariffs compared to anywhere else. What would invariably end up happening is Americans would stop buying from China. So it's not like instead of the money coming, because what ends up happening with the tariff, if you think about the flow of money, okay, is basically, so now you have a product that costs $1 because tariffs cost $1.20, or if it's from China, it'll cost $1.60, and you end up basically now that extra 60 cents is going to be paid by the consumer. Now, if it's being used to offset, now they're paying less taxes, so they have the extra 20 cents or 60 cents to pay it. In that case, that's fine. But this is not just obviously on one product. This is on all products, and we've seen with inflation in general that it's not just eggs that goes up. It's milk and it's sofas and TVs and everything just goes up. Now, the benefit of a tariff, as far as the financial benefit to the government, becomes much more limited if they jack it up too high. When you put in an imposing tariff, you're basically making it impossible for them to sell. So no one's going to buy Chinese products. That's essentially what the threat of a tariff is. That, hey, if a car made in China costs, because of taxes that are called tariffs, are now going to, an equivalent car is going to be much cheaper if it's made here in America. You're just not going to end up buying any Chinese cars. This is why there are no American cars that are being sold in the EU, because they put high tariffs on American-made automobiles. You can't find them there, because if you try selling a Ford truck in Germany, the tariffs on it make it like so astronomical, you have to be an idiot to buy it, which means they can't sell any there, which means that the government of Germany is not getting any money in tariffs. They're just not. What they're really doing is they're insulating their own manufacturers and saying, don't worry, you're not going to have to compete with American manufacturers in the automobile industry because we're going to make it impossible for them to compete with you financially, because the consumer would have to pay way too much for the American-made product versus the domestic German-made product. So that's what Trump, and that's the concept of imposing a tariff here domestically, is that Chinese products compared to American products, that American products will just be far cheaper for an equivalent type of thing, because because the tariffs would jack up the price of the Chinese-made goods. So what that really ends up doing is it makes more manufacturing jobs here. It helps create internal flow of money, but that's not going to be giving money to the government, because it just basically means no one's paying any tariffs. If you have a tariff the point is this: if you have a tariff of 10,000%, right? So something that a vape that costs $5 to make, it costs $7 to make. You would normally sell it for $10. But if you want to buy a Chinese vape, it's going to cost you, for the exact same type of vape, but it's made in China, instead of it costing you $10, it's going to end up costing you $1,400, because it's $10 for the product, another $13.90 for the tariffs. You're just not going to buy any of them, which means they're not going to be selling any of them here, which means there's no money in tariffs going to the government, which means that it's not offsetting any taxes or income taxes. It's really just helping insulate the vape manufacturers in America, that they don't have to worry that they're competing with China manufacturers of the same product. But it's not really enhancing the coffers of the American government, because it's just a tax no one's ever going to pay, because no one's no one's going to buy that product. Forced to buy the product, and you won't. So that type of tariff is designed to keep out foreigners, which sometimes it's often a pure economist. Many pure economists frown on any kind of tariffs, and the reason they frown on any kind of tariffs is because they say the consumer is the one who ends up being the loser. Because if you can make something more cheaper and better, in that case, in a free market, you would hope that competitors here domestically would go into a different industry where perhaps they'll compete better, and that the overall products across the globe will then be enhanced with people maximizing where they're most efficient at producing the best products possible, and that they have a real free market that's not being affected by the government saying, "Oh, we're just going to charge you more because you're not part of our country." So free market economists hate tariffs. There's logic in a hypothetical sense to where they're coming from. I won't dispute that for sure. There has been effectiveness of tariffs under Trump, which were then carried out under Biden. In varying degrees, they can be effective. At a certain point, they certainly seem to start hurting the consumers. Certainly, if American manufacturers feel completely unfettered to charge whatever they want and work together with each other, charge higher prices for an inferior product, and they don't have to worry about being competing with someone from a different country because the tariffs are going to protect them. In that case, the consumer ends up being the loser, and the manufacturers end up being the winners there. They can take advantage of the consumer. That doesn't seem to be what's been going on of late. That doesn't seem to be a more recent concern. That was a concern that we had 120 years ago, certainly under the robber barons and other when things first when the industrial age first began. Of late, that seems to be less of a concern for most economists. But that's my breakdown as to what he's saying there. Yeah, if you have limited tariffs, that could be used to offset somewhat, to offset the need and for taxes, and theoretically can open up to cut taxes. But I don't think it's nearly as cut and dried as that guy was saying. I thought it was an interesting thing to break down, to have a conversation, understand how the money flow works. I hope I was clear. I know conversations about money can be very boring, but it is kind of important. I try making it digestible so that you can each understand what's at least happening when you hear conversations about it. I have all these different things here. I really want to get to my main topic. I was mentioning about lack of leadership. I'm going to give this one, and then we're going to get into his 10 points. I thought this was a great distinction on the leadership skills of Trump versus Kamala, and I won't be able to play this next week because no one's going to remember Kamala's name anymore.
This is the difference between someone trying to be scary and someone who is actually scared.
What's the message to Iran? Don't. As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly. One word. Pretty straightforward.
That doesn't do anything. That doesn't mean
I'm
anything.
gonna bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care. They've got to be stopped.
He said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, Trump goes, tell him.
Yes.
Tell him what I said. Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room. Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
This is the difference.
There you go. That's the guy we have back. That's the guy. Freaking legend of world leaders. Legendary world leader, Donald Trump. That's who we just put back in office. God bless America and Donald Trump. Unbelievable. That's a freaking boss. That story should be told to children. They should tell the story of Washington, the cherry tree, and Donald Trump and the leader of the Taliban. Those are the two stories children should hear in school. Those two stories. Got to bookmark that because that is just awesome. Totally bookmarking that. All right. I want to get into 10 points. Let me run through the super chats. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. I'm going to start with the rants and start with locals just because you guys, I know, have to go through suffering in order to spending money here. Johnny Reb says, I would love to wear my Trump MAGA America First gear everywhere, but company dress code forbids it. Those bastards. Ramalon says they're absolutely going to try and burn it all down before they leave, then blame it on Trump. Oh, that I agree with. That I agree with. On the other hand, here's a reason to be hopeful. A reason to be hopeful is since Trump is a lame duck, and they know they don't have to worry about him in a second term, they may be slightly less aggressive with him during the first year or two. During the second year or two, they're going to want to say how disastrous everything is because they're going to be worried about Vance being his successor or someone else from the GOP being his successor. They may be a little bit less aggressive with Trump simply because it's not like he's ever going to be running again. They don't have to try and stop him another election. So, when he passes, does he become a buzzword? You're talking about the guy who's moving? Maybe. Buzzword. Lipstick dude leaving because he can't get an abortion. Well, obviously. Fed chair is welcoming Rand Paul to audit him. To all those leaving the U.S. for another country because Trump and the Eternal Roads of Curly Bill from Tombstone. Bye! That is one less Democrat voter. That's true. They'll probably vote from across the sea, though. Federal Reserve is a private bank. The appointments are by president, but the governing board controls the bank. He can recommend dismissal but cannot fire. That's what I thought also. I don't think he can fire him. Trump always had blackmail options to get rid of the Fed chair. Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think he can do it directly. I just think he can turn levers to have him removed. Federal Reserve is private bank. It's not a federal agency. We all care for you, brother. God bless you and your family. Here's to help pay your bills, sir. Thank you, USSJ4 Broly. Have you talked to Nick lately? Are you two okay? Thank you very much for all you do. I last spoke to Nick about 2-3 weeks ago. I had like a lengthy call with him. It's been a minute. I was actually supposed to call him and just been kind of busy with the election and all. But I think next week my schedule will start to open up and I can actually start catching up with people and taking care of things that have been backlogging as I've been gearing up for the election and dealing with post-election stuff. So next week I think is a good time for me to start catching up on stuff. And thank you very much. Repeal the 19th. I'm going to get this at least once a show. Repeal the 19th Amendment, or you make in U.S. no tariffs and reduce tax. Yeah, that's true. Deep dive into how the Federal Reserve was made and how it works. Read the book The Creature from Jekyll Island, a second look at the Federal Reserve by C. Edward Griffin. Thanks. So Europe can block our goods with tariffs, but we can't do the same. Pretty much, that's what happens. That's what Trump apparently was having a conversation. I think in one of his rallies over the last couple of months, he said when he was talking to Angela Merkel, he asked her. He said, "How many American cars are sold in Germany each year?" And she looks at me really strange, and she's like, "I don't think any are sold." He said, "Exactly. That has to change. Otherwise, we're not going to have German cars sold in America. That has to change. So we need to figure out how this is going to change." Now, that seems like a conversation he would have had during his first term. But yeah, you would think that now that he's back in power, that's the sort of thing that he should start getting changed. Even the founding fathers understood tariffs wouldn't be needed sometimes. We can't hope for our goods to compete with those made by slaves overseas. And that's the real issue. That's the real issue. The real reason to have tariffs is because you have 6-year-old Chinese kids basically working as slaves for 4 cents an hour in Chinese manufacturing plants. At least that's all the reports we heard back in the 1980s. And I don't know if they're still doing that, but I have no reason to think that they've closed those plants down. They obviously are not 6 years old anymore. Now they're 56. But the point is, they probably replaced them with other 6-year-olds. So yeah. And even if they're not 6-year-olds, if they're slave laborers working for 4 cents an hour, it's just an abortion. That's just That's awful, terrible, evil. So, yeah, that is a reason. That is a reason that the pure free market capitalists sometimes have to give way to the reality of like, look, this is as far as humanity, and also short-term beneficial. It's almost like you can look at it like you're making Americans perhaps pay a little more for the morality of stopping 6-year-olds from being slave laborers. And there also is the side benefit that you can offset that to a degree by having their taxes come down. So they're paying more, and the tax coming down. Tax coming down might not really fully offset them paying more, but it's sort of like you're making a moral decision about how money is being spent. And you sort of, at a certain point, you need to decide where does our morality, what price you want to pay for morality. Like how high tariffs are we gonna make it? But there is sort of that's almost, there is an exchange happening there where you're almost like putting the bill for your own morality. Master Phillips leader, those who are ready to hop on the cost gets passed on to the consumer train seem to be the same people who ignore the same argument against minimum wage. They don't want to pay more for their BMWs and Benzes. Change my mind. Yes. Yeah, that's true. It's the exact same people from the left who are constantly screaming, tariffs are what are going to raise the price for the consumer. And they ignore that minimum wage does the exact same thing. But they don't want to have, they're the elitists, and they're buying BMWs and Benzes, and they're afraid they're going to have to pay more for them. Great point. Great point. I'm glad the Senate map looks good in 2026. Most R seats that are up are strong R. Oh, okay, cool. I haven't looked ahead to 2026 yet. I should, before I get into his whole policies, we're going to take a quick look at the map. We'll see where we're at here. This is what I wanted. New York Times still refuses to call Nevada, Arizona. I guess perhaps maybe by January 6th they'll call it. I don't know. We don't know if they'll call it by January 6th, 2025. As of right now, no one's willing to call Nevada or Arizona. Arizona, when their stupid, ridiculous laws are just asinine they're jack-offs. There's something really wrong with these people. Really, really wrong with them. So it stands at 295, 226. In the Senate, today, Pennsylvania flipped. Oh, they don't want to give it to them? Decision Desk gave it to them. Gave it to McCormick. For one reason or another, Bob Casey, who's obviously an election denier, refuses to concede to Dave McCormick and give up that seat. Bob Casey is the incumbent who is about to lose his seat, and they refuse to call that election in favor of McCormick, the Republican who's seeking to replace him. But we're looking at having 53 members and Republicans in the Senate, potentially 54 with this one, but Jackie Rosen just took a lead recently, and now she's got a 20,000 vote lead with 93% in. Carrie Lake is not going to win. She's 40,000 behind. Well, who knows? Who knows? No one thinks she's going to win. This is a lot closer than I remember it being. This is a lot closer. All right. I would love to be proven wrong on this. I said over and over again, she's not winning, she's not winning, she's not winning. I would love to be completely wrong on that and see her win. I just don't think I will. But it's astonishing how she's like always so close and yet doesn't get across that threshold. Anyway, in the House, tracking the House vote, up to 211. Before I started the show, it was like 210. Now we're at 211 to 199. To have control, you need to have 218 in the House, so the Republicans need a minimum of 7 more. It looks like the New York Times is now saying that they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, which would be 223. This one is really close in Arizona 6. I don't know why they think Kirsten Engel is going to beat out Juan Ciscomani, but that's obviously very close. This is they're counting the vote difference here. Miller Meeks has a 797 vote advantage. Obviously, really close in Iowa. But all right. That's where we're at. If you look at the map here, did they show the map? You're going to show us a map? You're not going to show us a map. Oh, who flipped? You don't show us a map. All right. You can't get that anymore. I don't think there's been many flips. Matt Skinner. This destroys most of the talking points. We were having, that's why I wanted people to understand it. That's why I want people to try to understand how tariffs operate. How the F are states still counting votes? It's incompetence is really the only answer. It's incompetence. We're queuing every Arizona ballot. Kerry really could win. Hope so. Love to see it. I would love to be wrong. Oh my gosh. I would throw a party for her. We'll call it the Kerry Lake Party. Even without morality questions of slave labor, it's really about the labor cost, allowing those goods to be sold cheaper. The Walmart effect. Local goods made at fair wage costs can't compete. Right. There's a book that I read a decade ago about the Walmart effect, as to how Sam Walton did like this amazing job of basically cannibalizing the distribution of goods across America. And basically made it like you have to sell through him, otherwise you're screwed. And then basically to control in so many different ways to really take advantage of a lot of industries, in ways that are borderline, if not pretty overtly unethical. There's still about 800,000 we count in Arizona. Yeah, look, she can get there. She's looking a lot better than it looked when I looked at her 24 hours ago. I can't watch that race every day. They're so slow. It's like every 3 hours they come out with another 10 votes. It's like I can't sit there watching it. But before it looked really terrible, she was like 200,000 votes behind, and now she's like 50,000 behind. So she's made up a lot of ground. I'll certainly give her that. Slowest count ever: Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada. Can't figure out how to count. It goes 1, 2, 3. Is California over 50% reporting yet? I haven't looked at that. Let's see. I know they're also terrible. Are they over 50% yet? 59%. 59%. Pathetic. Which is why when you're trying to watch the House, you're just like, let me look up decision desk. Let me get decision desk here. That's the presidential thing. Let's look in the House. So they're saying here, John Duarte flipped over here. They're saying flip for Nick Begich, taking out Mary Peltola. Kirsten. They're assuming that Kirsten Engel's going to take out Ciscomani. This would be a flip, I guess, because that's not decided yet. It's only 79% in. Got another flip over here. Mike Garcia. No, that's not a flip. Why the hell that is a flip? I don't know. I can't figure out these stupid maps. I am curious how my Billy Premper did. How did you do, Billy? How terrible was it? Figure out how many votes I need to get to win my district.
Hidradenitis suppurativa feels like it takes over. Bumps, abscesses in the most private
Stop
places.
Let me see how my house did here. Number 9. We lost by 10,000. Benjamin Taylor by Nelly Pooh, 86% reporting. Losing by 4.2%. So I need to get 130,000 people to vote for me if I'm going to try and become a congressman. Sounds like a lot of people. It sounds like a lot of people. Oh, you want to move to my district? You don't want to move to my district? I have a lot better shot. A lot better shot. I've seen a whole bunch of you to move to my district. There's some good property here. Check it out. Of course, you're stuck in New Jersey. But this is my district here. Lech. All right, let's get to work. There's one more thing I wanted to show you. One more thing, just because I need to cover your enthusiasm. Bum bum bum. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. This animal, Leonard Serrato. I want to introduce you to Leonard Serrato, the animal.
I'm done crying. My sadness is over. My anger has set in. I am a very petty person, and I am very proud of that. Love it about myself, actually. And so I say this in the most disrespectful way possible. I don't care if you are my family. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if we've been friends our entire lives. You can literally go fuck yourself if you voted for Donald Trump. If you are so sad about your groceries being expensive, get a better fucking paying job. Do better in life.
Oh, get a better job. Is that what people should do? Did you get a better job? Is that what they should do, Leonard? That's the answer. Just get a better job. Oh. How freaking elitist of you. You who have such an amazing job. You have such an amazing job that you can just tell everyone, get a better job.
Get a fucking education. Do something. Because you are fucking stupid. And I hope you go jump off of a fucking bridge.
Hope you die. Hope you go. That's what he's basically saying there. That's what this tweet was saying. That was this guy. That's what he tweeted. That's what he sent out on TikTok. Or is that? It looks like Instagram. That looks like Instagram to me, not TikTok. And then that led to this. Oh no. Oh no. What about your job? Get a better effing job. Get a better effing job. Spokesperson for University of Oregon. Put on administrative leave. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Son of a gun. Serrato put on administrative leave. All right. This is what we need to get to here. This is what Trump sent out today. This is what he sent out today. This was my thumbnail focused on this. I'm only an hour and 54 minutes in. Probably going to end up going for another hour here talking about this main story here.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
Okay. Actually, give me 1 second. I just want to be able to pull up and pull this up in writing first. Copy link. Copy the link. Okay, so first he says he's going to reissue his 2020 executive order restoring his authority to remove rogue bureaucrats. That probably is something he has the authority to do, I would think. That sounds like, and I don't know what he means by rogue bureaucrats, but I like the idea of him being empowered to just remove people who suck. I kind of like that a lot. So that's not a bad start.
I'm sorry if you've lost faith.
Sorry about that. That's definitely not a bad start at all. That's a pretty good start, in fact. Need to just pull this up here. I don't want to lose. Okay. So I assume you guys are down with that and think that that's a good idea. I assume that most of you are down with that. Okay. Number 2.
Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible.
Okay, so on this one, he's saying we're going to clean out people from the NSA and from the FBI, CIA, who are basically FBI. It's really primarily NSA and FBI, and I guess DOJ, who were weaponized to go after conservatives. I think that largely can be done. They probably get pensions and stuff like that if they were just being terminated. They're probably unionized, most of them, and protected on some level. But it definitely could be done. And certainly could be effective. Plus, it sends a message. The question is, what percentage are you talking about? Like, what percentage of people are you talking about? I know that, they love talking about how you can shave out 80% of them and shut down the FBI altogether. Frankly, I think it's arguably a good idea. This one is probably my favorite one out of all of them. Clean out the corrupt actors. Assuming you can do it, you're talking not just a handful of people, but that you're talking about several hundred, if not thousands of folks who are basically, it kind of fits in with number 1 as far as the rogue bureaucrats, but it's rogue bureaucrats. And also, I guess now this means not, bureaucrats is a very broad term. 1 and 2 are very similar to each other. And this, I think, as chief of the executive office, I think he can do this. And I think that it could be very, very effective. I think that the devil's in the details, as in how it gets executed and what steps, who's going to figure out this person, not that person, this person, that person, the other person, definitely get rid of Sally. I mean, it's very easy for us to say, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, they're gone. They're fired. That's fine. That's great. But they're names we know. There are presumably hundreds, if not thousands, like them. And then they need to be replaced. So, or, maybe some of their efforts can be consolidated, but you sort of, whatever number of appointments he needs to make now, it's only that many more if you need to replace people who normally are not replaced. It can happen. I think it'll take him like a year to actually get it done. But I do think it's an important thing, and it sends a message, certainly, hopefully. Let's go on to item number 3.
Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to.
This one to me seems a little empty. I don't know what he can do to clean up FISA courts. I'm trying to just critically analyze this. It's very nice lip service. Okay, what are you going to do? Are you an authority to, like, can you just remove a judge? Because I don't think you can. They have to be impeached or something like that. Administrative judges, maybe. No, I don't know that he has the authority to do anything about the FISA courts as the chief of the executive. I think we're all frustrated with how the FISA courts are abused. We might have questions about how naive they seem to be when applications are being made to them. But it's very hard for me to understand what the president is empowered to do with respect to the FISA courts. If any of you have ideas that I haven't thought of, I'd love to hear your take on it, but I cannot imagine what he can do about the FISA courts. He's not empowered to even shut them down. He doesn't have the authority to shut them down. It's not part of the executive agency. You would need legislation to shut it down. So this one to me is the one that seems least likely to actually happen. It's also not top of the list of what needs getting done. So number 3 here to me is certainly compared to number 1 and 2. Number 1 and 2, yeah, that's all under his jurisdiction. That's all stuff that he seems empowered to do for the most part. Maybe not all bureaucrats, maybe someone like the Federal Reserve are beyond his purview. So too other agencies that I might not be thinking off the top of my head might be not directly under the executive branch. But there are many agencies that are under his purview, and he would have the authority to do it. And I'd love to see him go in there with a lightsaber and start slashing around. Slash, 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 slash. You corrupt schmuck, get out. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired. I would love to see that. That would be great. I think it would take a while to parse out all the weeds that have been growing because there's so many swamp creatures there. But for him to start cutting them off and slashing, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. You need people like literally making people who are trustworthy, making lists of these folks. And who the heck, do you know their names? I don't know their names. Who the hell, if you were appointed to oversee this task of number 1 and 2, would you know a single person that hasn't been in the news 1,000 times that you would say this person is a bad influence? I don't know how you get there. I don't know how you get there. I don't know how you find them. I mean, they're in different agencies all around the country. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you have to find someone trustworthy who actually has knowledge of lots of personnel and what they really are about. The big name, Gnarly Jim, he's saying they revealed themselves. I agree with you that a lot of you are saying stuff like this. I agree with you. Peter Strzok revealed himself. Lisa Page revealed herself. But there's 5,000. Let's assume. I'm just guessing. I'm throwing a number out. There's 5,000 Lisa Pages out there in varying degrees and levels of different agencies that we would all love to see get out. And they're basically hidden. Let's say, even if it's like half, okay, out of 10,000, 5,000 are terrible. How do you know which are the right ones to get rid of, which are the right ones to keep? How do you know? Who's the person who knows? Then you have to have someone who's very knowledgeable and very trustworthy who knows. I have zero capacity to do it. I couldn't identify. Yeah, I could tell you Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. Fire them. Okay, fine. What about the other 4,998? I don't know. Whoever's working with them, whoever's top of their contact lists. I guess those are prime suspects. Whoever they're DMing the most often, those are your prime suspects. I don't trust, but like, tell me, forget about identifying the bad person. Who do you think is the good person that can identify the bad people? Kash Patel? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how many people he knows. So I like the objective, and perhaps over time it becomes easier and easier to identify them because they sort of show their true colors. And him having a lightsaber that he can just basically wield as soon as someone shows their true colors is a good thing. But yeah, it's kind of, my question is just how those initial cuts get made. Can you identify 300 people like that? I know I sure as hell couldn't. And I don't know if there's anyone who could tell you even 300, much less 5,000. Because it's a web of different people and different cells of people who work together. And most of them are not screaming about it from the rooftops the way Peter Strzok and Lisa Page are. Most of them are snakes slithering around. You don't see how ugly Mitch McConnell is until you watch him for a while. You don't see how ugly Lindsey Graham is until you watch him for a while. So you need people who have been watching and are trustworthy in identifying the snake rather than being a snake themselves who's been appointed to get rid of other snakes. So I like the idea. I have caution about its execution. Like, how is this happening? Who's the one who's picking out? And how do they have the knowledge? And I think it's a necessary thing. I think it's it's a very necessary thing. It's a great thing and a very necessary thing. I just hope he finds the right folks to actually execute on that plan. The FISA thing, I don't even know what plan he could put in. I can't even imagine what he would put in to fix FISA. I agree FISA's a mess. I just don't think it's under his jurisdiction to do anything about it. Let me get some of these chats out here because I know some of you are looking my attention. I declare bankruptcy! Said Michael Scott. That's probably all it takes just to clear Nevada, probably. Turning Point guys tonight did the math and they see a path for Lake close and definitely contested by Dems. She wins, but she has a path. All right, look, I would love to be proven wrong. It's very rare for me to say that. 1.7 viewers. I'm so happy you made it this far. Thank God. Thank God I made it this far. God bless. And I really mean it literally. It's all about God. God has been amazing to me. Speaking of that, 1.7 viewers, 800 likes. That's not enough. That's 1,700 viewers, 800 likes. Yesterday, I had to shut down chat because I'm like, people don't hit the like button. I'm gonna have to shut down chat. I did it without warning yesterday. Today, I'm giving a warning. It better come up. I gotta get at least half the people in here. I have to hit like, otherwise I have to shut down chat. It was Nathan's suggestion. He's the one who said it to me. He's like, that's what lead attorney does. So 737,000 votes outstanding. Arizona Carrie can win. Love to see it. Coding Light says, when I lived in Arizona in 2000, they changed the vote they counted votes super fast. I used an example of the things done right versus Florida, how things have changed. They really have. It's been 59% for 2 days in California. I think they just stopped. They're like, okay, we've done enough for now. California is the highest Asian people. Honeybee says he used to live in North New Jersey, not moving back to New Jersey. Well, that's one less vote that I'm going to have when I run for election here. I run for office. Maybe I could take over Menendez's seats. You think I can do that? Can I take over Menendez's seat? Matt Skinner gifting 10 memberships into the following. The following people were gifted courtesy of King of Recruitment, Matthew Skinner, CD117, IKEA Shuttle Service, Miss Vicky May, Op Dog. That's right, Op Dog. That's right. What's Op Dog? Oh, what's Op Dog? What's up, Dog? Nothing. What's up with you? Op Dog, Glenn Croy, as Farrell, Arizona Pharrell, John H., Hefty Joe, and Time Traveler, as well as Bob Jones, all of them gifted memberships in the following. The following is not at all a cult type of cult. There's no self-harm, no harming others, no self-mutilation, no mutilating squirrels, no goat sacrifices, no throwing virgins into volcanoes. There's no dancing around bonfires to the beat of a tom-tom while shucking your clothing off and chanting Wiccan messages. No pentagrams. Mild farm work. No mandatory tracksuits. Highly recommended. There's no head shavings. It's not at all a cult. Type of cult. And I'm not the leader of the following. Please get that straight. Some people are still confused. Very confused about that. It's getting a little uncomfortable. I'm just the host. Cash, all the people who said they were going to leave, just don't let the door hit you. Don't let the good Lord hit you. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And regarding those who snuck in, get the nets. Thanks, Joe. Let's go. Go USA. Cash has been following me since I had like 17 people here. Cash is one of the first people who was following me. That's how he earned the wrench. He was here. He was here when it was just like me and Audio Joe and Nerniath, who basically bailed on me, and I've never seen him again. How we still miss Nerniath to this day. Trying to send you a video of Kevin Kyle destroying Merrick Garland. He got voted back in. Really? Kevin Kyle's great. He's great. It's in California. I'm glad to see he got voted back in. He looks like he's 14, but he's really sharp. He's a sharp cookie. I don't think he spells Kyle that way, but I'm not sure. We shouldn't protect civil servants from the same rules we live by? Of course not. Why would we ever do that? He can work with the new House, Senate to amend the law. Okay. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying he can't unilaterally do it. Thomas Percival, move the agency's work location to a red state. We're going to get to that. That's actually part of his agenda. You'll see. Federal Reserve Act can be amended or stricken by both legislature and presidential approval. You'll see the government at work if they do it right. Do you need 60 votes? That's really the question, though. If you need 60 votes, that's going to be a problem. If you can get it with 50, then he's got a lot of ability to do that. Matt Skinner hitting me with a 50. This I like. Get rid of the Patriot Act. This I very much like. Done with the Patriot Act. The FISA courts need to go. If we get rid of the Patriot Act, is that where the FISA courts come from? Do they come from the Patriot Act? Do they come from the Patriot Act? No, it was before that. They come from 1978. Another Democrat. Come from Carter. Heritage Foundation has 10,000 trained and ready. Just need Trump's say. That'd be nice. McConnell married to Chinese boat manufacturer. Is that a surprise to anyone? Don't shut the chat down. It's obnoxious when TLA does it. It's obnoxious when the lead attorney does it. Obnoxious when you do it too. I just threw it out there as a suggestion. But fortunately, we're up to 933. So there you go. So chat has spoken. I gave warning. Yesterday I didn't give warning. I had 2 people yelling at me. How dare you shut down the chat, Joe? Who the hell do you think you are? I was like, I need to. What am I supposed to? I don't want to be a guy who's constantly saying like, please hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. I feel like pathetic doing it. But I know if people don't do it, my algorithm dies. Okay, so I kind of need to do something. When you start with one trusted person, they have friends who have friends. You might be shocked at how incestuous the government is. Career friends all network across the agencies and all tell you who is who. That makes sense. That's a logical answer there from Adrian. All right. Hopefully that works. Let's go forward. We made it through 3 out of 10. Let's hear what else he has to suggest here for how he's going to clean up the swamp that is DC. How he's going to clean up the swamp of DC. A text says the FISA problem can be nipped in the bud by better control of the FBI, DOJ. Better people at the top would mean better scrutiny of FISA applications. That's 100% accurate. That's true. That's true. If you really do a good job in number 1 and 2, you don't really need to worry about number 3. Santiago Space Outlaw says secret courts directly violate the Constitution. That sounds true to me. I agree with you on that. But sadly, that's not the law. He also says the free market folks hide behind that term, but really want special treatment, i.e. they want to buy from the countries with slave labor and resell. Also throws at me here, I'm behind, but the Fed Bank is not actually a federal agency. It's independent, creature from Jekyll Island. Yeah, well, that's why he can't just fire Powell.
Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them.
Is this going to tell us about Kennedy? The Kennedy assassination? Is this what's going to happen? But declassification of documents, that could be part. This is something that could be huge. This is something that could be huge. This is the sort of thing this is the sort of thing that makes the deep state want him dead. Literally want him dead. Literally want him dead. This is the one. If God forbid, I hope this amazing man lives for decades and decades. I hope my great grandchildren get to see from President Trump. Okay, I hope they get to meet President Trump. And my oldest grandchild is 3. So yeah, but he wants to expose the abuses of power that have been tearing a country apart, have the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and declassify and publish all documents on deep state. Are we all going to learn about Kennedy? Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening? Cute. Cute.
Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges.
Okay, so now this part, I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means. He said, we're going to launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with fake news, weave false narratives, and to subvert our government and democracy. This is the sort of thing that the left will try to say, you see, he's going to call anyone who disagrees with him a liar and try and throw him in jail. That's how they're going to twist that last number 5. I don't know what this means. Let's hear it one more time.
Commission to declassify and publish all documents. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
I don't know what kind of crackdown he's talking about, other than criminal charges, which is what
When
he said.
possible, we will press criminal charges.
I don't know what that means, a crackdown. I don't know what number 5 means at all. And I certainly want to have freedom of speech. You know, it sounds like he wants to go after whistleblowers. That's how the left is he's going to say he's trying to criminally punish whistleblowers, which we've seen how frustrating it was when the left did that to people leaking from the IRS about the whole Hunter Biden thing. So, I'm not crazy about number 5. I'm not crazy about it. You're saying stuff like the Steele dossier? Law in the U.S. until Obama was no collusion between media and intelligence for propaganda. So I'm not going back to Bush-era policies. Okay. But I agree. It sounds very subjective. I think it sounds very subjective. RFK wants it released. You're talking about the Kennedy files? Number 5 sounds very subjective. And if it was being handled by the left, I would be very terrified about it. So anything that if the left was saying it, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not crazy about number 5. Just telling you now. And I don't even know how he would carry it out short of criminal prosecutions. So.
6th, we will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state.
That I like. That makes sense. That makes sense. So the inspector generals, these are people who are basically supposed to narc on these different departments that they're overseeing, that they have to move out so that they're not like all buddy-buddy with each other. Okay. I don't know. They're still going to stay buddy-buddy for the next few years, but over time, you would think that that would change.
7th, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually.
By the way, try to take notes. Let me know which ones of these that you think. I'm going to open up the phone lines after I'm done. I've got 7, 8, 9, 10 left. I'm going to open up phone lines. I'm going to want to hear from you guys what you think is the best 1 or 2 out of this list as far as likely to be implemented and be helpful versus something that just sounds give me your best and worst one. So try to take notes if you can here.
Monitor our intelligence agencies.
Let's go back a little bit here to number 7
of the deep state. 7th, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
This I like. I like having an agency like that's basically supposed to make sure that it does sound like we're building more layers of red tape when we have another agency. The objective here is to ensure that the existing agencies are not running afoul and being turned against its own citizens. That can be good. That can be good. He's recognizing he can't do that himself. He needs Congress to establish it. But that could be beneficial. Could be beneficial.
Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America.
So number 8 is he's going to basically be moving out different bureaucratic agencies across the country, so those positions can be filled by local people who are less invested in DC. I like that a lot. That I like a lot, and that I do think he can do. That I think he can do. Because that will start getting over time. That'll start getting filled with local folks. So especially if you're getting rid of a whole bunch of people, and now you're moving the agencies to, Montana, Colorado, Idaho, Missouri, New Hampshire, South Carolina, North Carolina. You start getting it filled with people who are genuine patriots. I like that a lot. I like number 8. That one sounds really good to me. We got to. Matt Skinner gifting 20 good Lawgic memberships, and Sherry joining in herself. I'm gonna give you a little horn here, Sherry. Coming on in here. Matt Skinner gifting Parabellum, Jackie Kennedy, Wendy Casker, Jeremy Hayboer, Isaiah, Elaine, CL gifted by Matt Skinner. I Am Flag, I Love Ketchup, Have Tome, Oh My, Pineapple Squirrel, Jack Riley, Let's Go, Brandon, Frosted Sleet, What If Any Welding, Jimmy Edwards, Cass, Nardo Polo, and T. Swain, all of them brought in courtesy of Matt Skinner. God bless you, Matt. God bless you, Matt. Thank you. So I'm going to give you another one of those. Those of you who brought into the following, please understand that the following is not at all a cult type of, it's really just about greater personal growth. That's what we're trying to stress all the time. We all need greater personal growth. What better time is there to engage in greater personal growth than now that we have a president who actually presents genuine leadership, looking to better America for American patriots? This is the time. It's easier now to have personal growth than ever before. Easier than ever before. So I'm urging you, jump on board. Those of you, part of that personal growth is expressing gratitude to those who bestow a kindness to you, like those of you who are recipients of Matt Skinner's generosity. Be appropriate to share your gratitude to them. And those of you who are welcome to the following, we stress community. It's about unity and leadership training skills. So there you go. There you go. Welcome aboard. We have cookies. Also, Matt says, yes, get government out of DC. Yeah, I like number 8 a lot. I like number 8 a lot.
Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on. And it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma.
Okay, this is something I've heard Vivek Ramaswamy talking about a year ago. What he's referencing is you got the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, for example. Their objective is they're supposed to oversee, make sure that Big Pharma, when they're coming out with stuff, that they're not poisoning you. They can fast track things from, if they like you, they can slow walk it and bog things down with red tape. They can be a little bit more generous in trusting you and your assessments that everything here is totally fine, or they can be more scrutinizing. And what we have seen is that a lot of people who work for the FDA, they retire from the FDA, and all of a sudden they get $10 million jobs from Pfizer, from Johnson & Johnson. And you sit there and you're like, I don't understand. How'd they get these really big jobs there? 10 minutes ago, they were supposed to be the prosecutors investigating, overseeing them, and now they're getting these really cushy jobs there. And it looks like they're being bribed, and that's the thank you that they're getting for work that they're doing, where they were very generous to these big pharma companies. And that's what he's saying. We're going to but what does he say here, though? He says that he's going to work to ban bureaucrats from taking jobs at companies they deal with and that they regulate. I love this in a theoretical sense. I just don't understand pragmatically how he can stop it. As an attorney, I know how difficult this is. This sounds to me like a really, really difficult thing for anyone to implement. And I'll tell you why. Tell you why I have concerns. Because I want to be real with you all. Sounds great. Yeah, you would love to have a constant wall between the police and the crooks, right? Or potential crooks. You got the people who are overseeing it. You want them to be like the untouchables. You're not going to have Al Capone poisoning them. And that's what it seems like is happening a lot. It's very scary. Well, the problem is this. How do you stop them from going to work for them? What can you do that would stop them? I know that when it comes to most jobs that you hire someone to work for you, you cannot get them to sign a non-compete that is going to go beyond necessary time and scope. In New York, for example, if you bring in an employee and you pay them a lot of money and you give them a non-compete agreement, you force them to sign a non-compete agreement. There's a general public policy in the state of New York which says that any non-compete agreement, anything that's restricting freedom of employment, there's a concept of freedom of employment, that you're not slaves. We are not slaves. So public policy favors the worker, the employee, to try and let them find their work wherever they deem fit. And accordingly, non-compete agreements are gravely frowned upon in New York, as it is in many other states. Arguably, likely, in probably the vast majority of states, if not all states in this country. I can only speak with experience about the state of New York, but I would not be remotely surprised if there's similar concepts across the country in the state that you live. Can't say that's the law. I haven't researched it in your particular state. If you're outside New York, I can only tell you about the state of New York, but I do know that New York is not uncommon in this regard. And then many states are similar, if not all states are similar to New York. New York says that if you make someone sign a non-compete agreement because we don't want them to be a slave to your particular company, that if the non-compete agreement is too excessive, that is restricting their freedom. And that is against the law, and the court will strike it down and say, boom, it's not in effect, no longer there anymore. It's gone. It's gone. Adios. Now, question then becomes, how do you stop someone who works in the FDA? If you look at the government as its employee, you could, and it can only be, and I should go a little further, they say it has to be limited to as much as necessary in time and geography. So in New York, for example, they say that if you're in the, let's say you're you're an expediter. You're a company which does expediting. You help people with their regulations. You bring in someone, you train them, you make them sign a non-compete agreement. I don't want you to go work for my enemy who's down the street, and I'm always competing with him. So I want you to sign a non-compete agreement. You're not going to go work for him, even after you leave me, for a period of five years afterwards. So the court is likely to say, no, you can only have a non-compete agreement that's going to go into effect for a maximum of 2 years. After that, anything beyond 2 years, no. Let's say you say, I don't want you to compete with me in the next state over. We'll be like, no, it has to be limited in geography. It has to be someone who's a direct competitor with you right here. So it's got to be limited in time and geography. Now, how, if you are Trump, we look at Trump and the government as being an employer, how can you say, I'm going to stop someone from getting a nest egg and they can never work for someone else when it's likely going to be struck down by the court? Possibly, the way you can get away with it is you can say, I don't want you to work for someone that you personally investigate. That is a possible limitation. Possibly. But I still think is a really good chance it would get struck down in court, in most courts, in most jurisdictions. So while I love conceptually what he's saying here, because of strong public policy in favor of allowing Americans and citizens to have freedom of employment to work for whomever they want, it would be very difficult to craft an agreement or anything that would restrict the right of the employee of the federal government from going off, in this case, working for the FDA, from going off and working for Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson. If not 10 minutes after they leave the FDA, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, So they'll get their nest egg 5 years. They look at it as like a retirement plan. That's their golden goose. That like, oh, okay, when I retire from the FDA 5 years later, I'll work for 10 minutes for Moderna, and they're going to give me $20 million for my 1 year of service that I'll do for them. That could still happen, and it seems like it would be a difficult thing to stop. It seems like it would be a very difficult thing to stop because of strong public policy in favor of the employee to go work wherever the hell they want. So while I love what he's talking about here conceptually, because it is gross and disgusting how people work for the FDA or they work for the EPA, and then they go, and the next thing you know, they're working for the EPA, and 10 minutes later they go work for someone who's in the green industry. And just like, what the hell's happening here? What the hell's happening here? It just seems like everyone's in bed with each other and getting each other rich, and the oversight is fake because they're basically bribing them by giving them a job, like a ridiculously high-paying job after the second they retire from government agency. It just seems really gross. So I love what he's saying conceptually. I question how it can be done pragmatically and actually be effectuated. Because I think that that most efforts you're going to have in that regard, many of them are going to be struck down by the court, just because of public policy in favor of the employee going wherever he wants to work.
Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress.
We should have term limits on the House and the Senate. Now, I don't think it's going to happen because he knows he doesn't have the authority to do it, but we should. And at least have a president talking about it. That's the only way you get the ball rolling and starting talking about this conversation, if he's continually bringing it up. So I don't think he's going to get it done, but I like him talking about it because who knows? 10 years from now, we might get it done. And if you don't talk about it now, from whenever you start talking about it, it's going to be a 10-year process before it becomes something that's taken seriously and might actually happen. So no one else has been talking about it yet. So him talking about it, well, that's a good starting point, especially if he keeps going back to it. Term limit, term limit, term limit, term limit, term limit. So I like that he's talking about it. I just saying, number 10, term limits for Congress, it won't happen. But it's still good for him to be talking about it. So just reviewing here, if we pull this up, because this whole thing written out here, okay? As far as what I have here, and I'm going to open up phone lines in a moment, but number one, where he's talking about removing bureaucrats, which tied into number 2, which is cleaning out corrupt actors in national security intelligence. I love this. I hope he's able to do it. Not sure who's going to get it done. Adrian had good suggestions that, the good people know who the bad people are. If you can identify the good people, they start knowing their friends who know their friends, and they can identify the bad people. That'd be great. If you can get it done, that sounds really, really good. It's an amazing start and a very important thing. You need to have people who are reliable and trustworthy patriots. Number 3, Pfizer reform. I don't think he has any chance of getting that done. I don't know what he can do as president to affect Pfizer whatsoever. Number 4 is exposing hoaxes and all that other stuff by having declassification. I think he can declassify stuff. I don't know if that's going to clean up the deep state. It will piss off the deep state. I don't know if that's going to clean it up other than exposing them. It's a good start. So I think he can get that done. And that can get the ball rolling in a myriad of positive ways that we haven't yet considered, depending on what information is exposed. Number 5, a major crackdown on government leakers, collude fake news. I don't know how that can work. I don't even know what this means, number 5. So this one, I'm like, I don't know what this is. Number 6, the Inspector General's independent will be physically separated. That's good. Have an actual wall between the people who are looking at corruption and those who we're concerned are corrupt. That's a good thing, and I think he can do. The independent auditing system of the people who are monitoring. Okay, I think that's also a good thing, but he needs Congress to agree to that. So I'm a little suspect. You never know what Congress is going to agree to do or not do. But hey, we control both the House and the Senate. We just don't have enough in the Senate to really control it. 8, which he said that he's going to move people into different jurisdictions. That I like a lot, and I think that can have an impact. Number 9 was cutting out the incestuous relationship between FDA and Big Pharma, or I guess EPA and other agencies, and then who the people are investigating. That I think will struggle legally to actually work. And starting a conversation about term limits, this is a healthy thing. So that's my take on these 10 here. If you ask me what I think is the most effective thing, depending on how well you can do number 1 and 2, which I really look as being the same thing, because when you're removing rogue bureaucrats or cleaning out corrupt actors in national and the NSA, to me those are really the same thing, just one little different. The people who are persecuting conservatives, Christians, yeah, that's great. That's great. I think those two are really great. To me, those are probably the most important two. Number 3, I think, is kind of useless. It's not going to happen. 4 is more fun than it actually is helpful. 5 will not work. I think basically number 7 is beyond his control. 6 is really good. And so basically I say 1, 2, 6, and 8. These are things he can do, and I think can start actually improving things. 1, 2, 6, and 8 are to me the best ones. But I'd love to get your take on it. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. If you want to call in, the number to call is 972-454-0703. That's 972-454-0703. And I'd love to get your feedback. Which of these 10 do you think is the best, the worst, whatever? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. By the way, I am not going to be here. Obviously, tomorrow night. It's Friday. But I do expect to do a show on Saturday night. That I do expect to happen.
Call from Real Patriots Party.
RPP.
How you doing, man?
What up, RPP? What up, you and me?
How's your night going?
Thank God, awesome. I haven't seen you since Trump won. You heard Trump won, right? I mean, you heard Trump won.
No. What I heard was that Whitmer got butthurt because Detroit nailed her.
What do you mean they nailed her?
We blocked so much cheating, it was too big to rig, buddy.
You think so? Really?
Oh yeah, I was an election official again. I was down there.
I need to hear more. Give me more.
We took care of business.
All right, I need to hear more. Give me more details. What happened?
Well, they had everything in place to do the who knows where they come from, trucks arriving.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what, downtown, everybody was downtown. There were more lawyers watching stuff than you can imagine.
Really?
Oh yeah, there was no way there was going to be a repeat of the Crooked Center from last time. There was no way.
You are awesome. That is great. You see, this is
There was
what
a
I
lot
said.
of people doing work. A
When-
lot of people.
When
did that
everyone,
work.
when everyone was worried about the cheating, I was like, you sort of need to come up with new ways to cheat because we're now alert to this crap. And I was like, I knew there'd be patriots like you who would just help stop it in its tracks. It's much harder to catch it after
all
the
of our
fact.
time dreaming up contingencies. Mostly just going, wait a minute, if you block them there, you know they're going to go over there. We're like looking down the street going, all right, if they block them there, they're going to come from that street. So
Nice. Wow. So so wait, did you ever see the trucks just never showed up?
well, they didn't even dare bring them in. We know some went to Lansing. There was a lot of cheating in Lansing. There was a lot of cheating in Washtenaw County, Ann Arbor. A lot of that was going on, but in Wayne County, we beat the crap out of it. And I mean, put it this way. I was in, I get to get up from being a watcher and go and vote too. You get to vote like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over to vote, and I mean, I was only down there for 3 hours because I was streaming some cheese anyways. I was wasting time. But we got in line, and there's a black guy standing next to me, and I mean, he looked at me, he's like, man, they better not stop counting. Where I said, well, they're not going to stop counting because we got the lawyers here. They're not going to let them stop counting. He said, I'm going to get in there and get my vote in for Trump. And I looked at him, I said, we got this.
That is awesome. That is really, really
Took until the following day, though, damn it.
That is really, really awesome. You see, I was thinking that she gave up on the cheating because she saw they waited till it was like after 270. It's like, well, there's no point to cheat anymore. But
No, they didn't give up. They did not give up. They were pushing hard. We were just in front of them.
Wow, you're a legend. You are a legend, brother. This guy here
No,
also.
I'm just one of many, man. I'm going to tell you what. There's a lot of people that did this. A lot of people.
He sent me this, which is not actually something it feels really solid, and yet it kind of feels hollow because I can't develop any following on Rumble. The Ghetto does not. The Ghetto doesn't spread the word on Good Logic, but those of you who are in the Ghetto still love you guys, and yeah. So, but he is the one who sent me that, and I had no idea that you were when you said Real Patriot Party, that is your name. Like I didn't realize that you're actually doing something about it. And a lot of people feel patriotism in their hearts. That doesn't mean they end up actually doing something. You're actually out there on the front lines helping preserve America. So God bless you.
Well, we had all the information in July of 2020 of what they were planning, and we were in force then, but. Good old Ronna McRomney gave us nothing. We had no lawyers, nothing. It could have been stopped in 2020. She's the reason that we couldn't block anything. Bannon and everybody knew the whole plan. We saw the Transition Integrity Project. We all read it. They told us what they were going to do.
Right. I'll tell you this much.
Ronna Romney, no money for that. We're going to go buy little door hangers, cardboard door hangers, and put them on doors. Who cares about that?
I'm gonna teach you a little Yiddish here. Okay, you want to hear a little? I'll teach you a Yiddish expression, which goes.
Well, as long as the chat doesn't object,
they won't object. I think they'll like this. It may actually be just pure German, but the phrase is 4 words: Mensch tracht, und it's actually 5. Und Gott lacht. Mensch tracht. Man plots, und Gott and God lacht, laughs.
That's very Hebrew German, yeah.
It's Yiddish. Mensch tracht und Gott lacht means man plans whatever they plan, but God laughs at their plans. Well, the point that I'm getting at is that you use in a circumstance like this, where it's like, they had all their plans and they got rid of him. They're like, aha, we won in 2020. We got rid of him in 2020. It is so much better for MAGA that he lost in 2020, had it stolen, ripped away from him, and then ended up trouncing Kamala in 2024 is such a better outcome for MAGA and the future of MAGA long after Trump has left politics, that this is so much better, on so many different levels.
Yeah, but you know what? I can't go with that for one reason. Okay, I can't go with that at all, and here's why.
What's that?
And it has nothing to do with how it in the end benefited MAGA. It has to do with hundreds of thousands of old folks dying in nursing homes by tyrannical governors who did it all because it got stolen.
No, I respectfully disagree with you, because I think most of them were killed while Trump were killed by governors who were trying to get rid of Trump. So that happened before the election of 2020. Most of them died in the summer of 2020, or in the spring and summer.
Oh, there was a lot of them already having trouble, but man, after Biden came in, I mean, holy cow, it went off the rails. Every state was joining in that had a wannabe tyrant. They were going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, look at 2 years of schools closed, man. 2021 and 2022, all the schools were closed. Those kids are not going to recover from that. They're all mentally warped because of it. I mean, the damage was so severe. Look at the debt. 30 trillion?
I
don't know, man.
You're raining on my mood.
It might take 20 years to get my mood better, buddy.
Fair enough. Those are valid.
All right, I got to let you go because you got more.
Which of those? Let me ask before you go. Which of those 10 do you like? Do you think is most important as far as capacity to do it and actually helping clear out the swamp?
Well, because I know exactly what Trump talk is and what he was referring to, I love number 5.
Really? Interesting.
Absolutely. And I know exactly how he's going to do it.
Number five, that in case those of you are forgetting here, number 5 is we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
He's talking directly about Adam Schiff and security guys like that run quietly behind the scenes from the skiff and tell things to the New York Times to shape a narrative, meanwhile causing damage because everything they're leaking is not a leak. It is untrue.
Right. Okay. All right.
So he wants to take those people and put them in front of a firing squad, and I'm going to be there to load the weapons.
Fair enough. I'm not sure what executive order he can put on that, but perhaps we'll have to see how it's worded. That'll actually work.
He's gonna start with. I'm gonna give you a preview. He's gonna start with Schedule F, and he is gonna wipe out half of the government.
That'd be amazing. I know a few months back he was talking about building a brand new building for the FBI, and I was like, no, I'd rather shut down the FBI than give him a brand new building.
Never gonna happen. That was to get them distracted. They will never get. He's gonna bulldoze the one they're in now and bury them under the rubble.
Would love that.
Yeah.
All right, my brother.
So he'll do Schedule F. He'll clear out the crap, and then when he's got those people out of the way and they can't be running around backstabbing, then he's going to take the leadership and go, hey, guess what, man? I used to have The Apprentice. You're fired.
I want to ask you one last question, because Prospering Woman is referencing something in my next super chat here that a lot of people have concerns about. That concerns Sky News Australia is reporting Pompeo is on the inside track for the head of Trump's DOD. Does that scare you?
I think that is another leaked lie. I don't think Pompeo has a chance at anything. And by the way, there was another rumor going around who was inside saying, "Oh, guess what? I'm running the whole show here." That came from McCarthy.
Right.
These losers don't know when they're gone, but they're gonna find out.
I hope so. Look,
let's let them all dream on until we get to the inauguration.
I'll tell you, Prospering Woman, the same thing I'll tell everyone here. You hear reports about appointments. Until we see the appointment happen, don't sit there fretting about it. Yeah, I agree with you. Pompeo would be disastrous. He's classic neocon in MAGA clothing. But
and he backstabbed Trump several times when he was out of the country.
Yeah. So
he called Trump an idiot.
Yeah, that supposedly I heard that also. I didn't see him say it, but I heard that he had said that. All right,
No,
my
but
brother.
he was at a
Donald
meeting
Trump
with three
won,
guys that
and I am
confirmed it, and I'll
very
take three
afraid
guys
that
any
he
day.
might deport my
See
mother-in-law.
this?
She entered
Everyone-
illegally to the country.
All this
and she
stupid
lives
thing just
in
opened up on me. Damn it!
a street for.
Yeah, all right. All right,
All right, guys.
let me get
I'll
some
talk to
calls
you.
later, brother.
Yep. See ya.
Janelle says, put the restrictions on companies, not the Fed employee. That's an interesting idea. That's what Gopher Guy is saying also. You're missing a huge hole. You think the government can punish the employer if you're hiring the employee. That could work. Actually. I had not thought of that. This is why I want to have this conversation, because I think many of you will come up with ideas that I haven't thought of. I think that's actually a good idea that you and Janella Rella came up with. That could work.
Call from
Thomas.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Thomas.
What's up, Joe?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
So what's your thought? Which of these do you like?
I think number 5 is probably the most significant one.
Look at this. You guys are all saying cracking down on the leakers. Crack down on the leakers.
No, that's it. Well, oh, I'm sorry. Well, the 8 is actually the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, number 8.
But 5,
number 8
5
is
good though.
Number 8 is continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. And you think,
absolutely.
Why do you think that?
Yeah,
why do you think that that's the most significant one?
It'll instantly change who's, the constant bureaucracy. It'll mix it up. It'll force, people who've been there forever to just leave. And that's the goal of that, I believe.
It does. It also lends to the more about federalist type of perspective. Instead of everyone being in the same city, in the same hangouts all the time, and people from this agency with that agency, make them work across the country. And if they want to transplant to keep their job and they want to transplant to Colorado or to whatever other state, that's fine. At least they're not going to be, they're not going to be having their secret meetings, interagency type of stuff. I agree. I really think there's something he can do and could be very effective. Very, very effective. I think it's a really great.
Absolutely.
All right.
So did you? I'm the same Thomas, by the way, that sent you that video the other night.
Oh, Percival.
The one with. Yeah.
So, I remember you. Thank you very much. Very thoughtful.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So it was like a prediction of what was going to happen. She was going to be kicked out of it.
Y'all want to violate my stuff? I don't give a fuck about none of that.
Things pop up on
Only
me.
people that's violating my freaking live right now are Trump supporters.
Why?
All right, buddy.
Y'all the
What,
only
you
ones
need-
happy
you need
about
a
this
IT
shit right
guy
now.
there or something?
Well,
Y'all
hold
the
on.
only
Now I gotta
ones.
find this stupid
Y'all
thing
see I
now.
got my blue on. I done cried so fucking much that
But I think
My
the
blue-
most damage with the leaking stuff is like a lot of my friends, or not really a lot, but just this one in general. This whole media has driven the guy absolutely crazy. And that's the most terrifying thing about the whole situation. Because you've got, 49% of the country that thinks the other side is crazy.
Yeah.
And we're like, you guys don't even look at any evidence. You just,
You listen to what these.
like regurgitate.
Yep.
They like regurgitate everything they've been told by the mainstream media, and they just believe it, and it drives them insane.
Yep.
And that's what's sad about it. So.
All right, Thomas. Thank you so much, my brother.
You're doing a great job, man. Keep it up.
I appreciate it. I want to get some more calls, get people's thoughts about these 10 steps and which ones they like. Thank you, brother.
Have a good
I'll
one.
catch you later tonight. 972-454-0703. Just ban retiring government employees from working for company lists on the NSC. You can't do that. That would be considered a violation of public policy. I'll tell you, that would be struck down in court. It wouldn't work. One guy says, Trump is a smart guy. He had 4 years to develop these plans. You don't beat the system like he did without talent around you. I believe you can make the deals. Why are you doubting now, people? I'm simply saying what works under the law, what doesn't. That's all I'm talking about.
Call from
This is Thad the Man.
Thad the Man. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Happy times.
Happy times indeed. Happy times. I like that. What do you like? Which one of these 10 do you like? I got to move along fast because I got a lot of people I think who want to weigh in.
I was just going to suggest the Bears are probably going to fire their coach after this. They lose this next game. The Jets can have Tim Walsh.
Well, no, Tim Walsh would help the Jets. He would run a lot of those mean pick six plays, and they would win a lot of games that way. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a point.
That'd be great. Funny.
You need to put up a list of a link to the 10 points because I don't remember all the 10 points. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that in the description so people can pull it up. I think that's a good idea. Well, I have this written out thing, but I'll throw that in the description if anyone wants to check on it so they can pull up and look at it. Here we go. Here's the list. Read the list here. Read the list here. All right, that's in the description now. But any of them stick out to you off the top of your head?
Well, and one more thing.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, I retweeted you a Charlie Kirk tweet. He has his show on YouTube where they're like going through the counts, and he's keeping very close eyes on Arizona, and he thinks Carrie Lake's
going to do it.
He thinks the odds are for her.
I hope so. Look, I hope I'm. I would love to be wrong on that one. I would love to.
Yeah, because she's MAGA number 2.
I'd love to see her in the Senate.
She's MAGA number 2. They're trying to stop Trump. They're trying to stop her. If she wins, they'll know they can't stop MAGA.
Maybe. Hopefully. I'd love to see her win. All right, thank you, brother. What? I gotta move. We gotta move.
10 points.
Yeah, which one? Pick one. Which one do you like best?
Moving the departments. That's actually from Kevin Phillips' book, Arrogant Capital.
Moving people across the country to different places. That was number 8.
Yeah, and that's from, like I said, Kevin Phillips, the book Arrogant Capital, which Robert Barnes once had on Viva Fry.
Okay.
And the great thing about that, you missed the best point, which is that when you move, say, the Department of Agriculture to Kansas, all the lobbyists are going to have people lobby in Kansas and Washington. And it's going to cost the lobbyists a lot more to lobby.
Interesting point. It's an interesting point. I like it.
So,
all right.
I also think that there is a legal way of stopping people from going to government to private industry using sort of a trademark work product argument. But that gets very complicated.
You're saying that if there's trade secrets that they become aware of? I don't know if a government agent gets trade secrets. There's a concept that, hey, I don't want you to work for my competitor ever because you work for you learn the secret ingredient for Coke, and I don't want you working for Pepsi because otherwise you're going to teach them the secret ingredient. So there's a concept but it's hard to imagine government having something like that. I do like the suggestion that was made by Go for Big Guy and by Janelle Arella, which is that you can punish companies for hiring them, potentially. Even that might be deemed against public policy, but that would certainly be a novel approach which could theoretically work.
Right. But you're missing half the point, which is that, if you're a prosecutor, if you're a defense lawyer defending some rich guy, and you hire someone away from the prosecution to work for your firm during trial, I think they can stop you from hiring him because of work product.
Right.
So it's like
there's no work product of the government, though.
I think there might be. I think you can make an argument, but like I said, it's very complicated, and you'll get involved.
It might work. It's hard to imagine how that would work on a global scale to stop people from doing it. But anyway, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the call. Let me take some more callers. You have a great weekend, my friend.
You too.
All right, have a good night. If you think I made mistakes in my assessment of these 10, by all means, feel free to call in. I would love to hear people who think I'm wrong, because a lot of you making great points here, which are making me reassess where I'm coming from.
Call from.
Hey, Joe, it's Janelle Arella.
Nellarella.
Wow, I got through. I can't believe it. I'm so lucky.
I was just complimenting the great idea that you had. I'm still not sure it would work if you punished companies. We're talking about on number 9, stopping companies. You know, and if I pull up number 9, those of you who came late, we're looking at the list of 10 steps that Trump has announced that he plans on taking in order to stop government corruption. And I played the video of him basically saying the words that I'm going to pull up on screen here. And number 9 was that he said he's going to work to ban federal bureaucracies from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So, and what basically is happening is something that, as I said, Vivek identified this problem. People work for the FDA, and then they get very friendly with the people they're supposed to be overseeing and very generous and perhaps not worrying about we, the consumer, we, the American citizen, and becoming way too friendly with the corrupt people they're supposed to be stopping. And then the next thing you know, they leave the government and they get hired by Pfizer or these big pharma agencies who give them millions of dollars, multi-million-dollar jobs to basically do nothing. And it looks like they're just basically paying off a bribe that they gave this FDA agent or this EPA agent or whomever. So, you know, an EPA agent is supposed to be looking for emissions, and the next thing you know, he gets hired by some oil company who's, you know, to oversee their emissions, and it's like and getting paid $8 million a year, and he got, you know, and he was the one who was watching them for 15 years, and now he's getting, and you wonder how many emissions he was letting out there, because this is a bribe that they're giving him. So Trump is saying, I'm going to ban that. I pointed out that seems to be a tricky thing to do because you can't, because there's a public policy in favor of allowing employees to work wherever they want. You can't stop them from competing or going somewhere else and restrict their employment elsewhere after they leave your employ. And that's general public policy, which applies certainly in the state of New York and in many other places as well. So I'm like, it sounds like a great idea. I just don't know how you do it. Janelle Arella and a couple of other people here, Janelle Arella's on the phone, and a couple of other people have suggested, well, maybe you can punish the companies by hitting them with a fine or something like that. Make it take steps to stop them from doing it. That's potentially possible. That'd be a novel approach. I just don't know that there wouldn't be all sorts of lawsuits saying the government is restricting my freedom of employment, and that people would be suing the government that you're wrongfully restricting. Someone would say, I wasn't bribed. I don't want to work for the government anymore. I'll make more money working private agency. I never did any work overseeing Shell Oil Corporation. I worked for the EPA. I never oversaw anything Shell did. Now I want to work for Shell. You tell me I can't work for Shell because they're on the ban list of people I can't go to. That doesn't sound fair. How am I supposed to pay? How am I supposed to support my family now? So you can understand good faith people having a problem. How do you parse out people who are acting in bad faith versus those who are in good faith? So you were saying we can punish the companies, which could work. It's different. Maybe it's something I hadn't thought of. But yeah, any other thoughts that you want to share with me about this list?
Let's see. I love, what I really love is getting the agencies out of DC. I think
Number
there's
8.
so many benefits to that.
Number 8.
Yeah, isn't the cost of living is outrageous there? So if you move federal employees out of there into lower cost of living areas, I would think that would be really beneficial. And, maybe you wouldn't have so many people going to work for these big companies, although that's probably not the case.
I like it.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I think a lot of this, I think he just threw a grenade into the snake den. I think a big part of this is getting people scared and getting people to maybe start slipping up,
Could be.
I don't know.
Could
I
be.
don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. It's very exciting. It was very exciting to watch this video for the first time today. It was really, I was really, really pumped about it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear your perspectives on things that I hadn't even had time to think of and don't know anything about. So,
And part of the
love it.
benefit
I'm
is
glad
by
you're
having this
going over it.
conversation, we sort of get like I get a better understanding of like how things can or cannot work from hearing suggestions from folks like you. So that's why I really enjoy these
Yeah.
conversations. All right, thank you so much,
Gives you
Janelle.
stuff to research. Hey, one quick thing. Why
Yeah.
don't you come to TPUSA this December and get out there and network with people?
How do I do that? How do I get? How do I? Where is that going to be? Where and when? Tell me where.
It's always in Phoenix. It's
Always.
always in Phoenix, and it's because it's Charlie Kirk's deal. So it's and he lives here. So it's the 19th through the 22nd, I think, of December.
December 19th
So
to December 22nd. It's always
Yeah.
on the week. It's always on Shabbos, right? It's always these things.
Oh, that's right. Well, you can buy tickets for specific days. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess
Let me
you
see.
could go
December
for one day.
19th.
Yeah, you're right.
These things are always Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
Always.
that sounds right, doesn't it?
I'm looking at the calendar right now. Let me pull it up. Actually, December 19th is a Thursday. So, I don't know.
Well, you can buy tickets for one day, and flight's not terribly expensive. So if you were just here for a Sunday, I don't know. So many YouTubers are there at
coming out
that.
there?
Might be.
They're coming. Are they coming down there, people?
Oh, they always do. Like Tim Pool's always at it. Obviously, Charlie Kirk and Benny, and I don't remember who else. But Don Trump Jr. will be there. Tucker will be there. So
How do I
might be worth looking into.
So if I showed up there, like, how would any of them? The question is, how would I end up actually meeting these people any more likely than someone who doesn't talk to 10,000 people a day?
I don't know. I know they like mill around. It's sort of it's a convention, so I think you choose who you want to hear
Right.
speak, and people are just mulling about, and they're set up doing their podcasts, from there. So
Yeah, you
I don't
know what?
It's worth looking into.
I like the idea a lot. I am gonna look into it. Thank you. I am gonna look into it.
The tickets are cheap.
I feel like I need to get out more into and like interact with folks more. That I'm sort of cloistered away in my little corner here in New Jersey, and that I think it could be very beneficial for me to get out more. So I'm going to be looking
you might meet people you've never heard of that that you really click with.
This is true too.
There are a lot of YouTubers there, though, a whole lot of them.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
All
Talk to you
right.
later. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye bye.
You too.
Don't say that.
Call from
Rockham Needle Arts.
to accept.
Look at that. Cars
Joe,
in
how you
depth.
doing?
Cars in depth. How are you?
Thank God. Well,
I'm glad to hear it.
Things are looking up.
Look at you bringing home Michigan. Did you thank RPP for bringing home Michigan?
You know something? I was not as skeptical as you were. You know that. But I spent some time in Macomb County, and didn't see a single Harris sign in Macomb County, and live right near where they had a Democratic get out the vote effort based in, and they were worried about Detroit, but I was hoping it was too big to rig, and it turned out to be so. So
do me a favor. Stay on the phone with me. I want to run through super chats. I feel like I'm way behind on my rants and super chats. Let me run through them real fast while you're here on the phone with me. Meanwhile,
No problem.
Tell me which number you like the most. Which rules you like the most?
I think 1 and 2 are probably the most immediately practicable. I like 8. I'd like to see 9 applied to the Department of Defense and Pentagon employees too.
Right. Yeah, that's a great call. Great call on Department of Defense. He mentions Big Pharma. Number 9 is the one about keeping out these incestuous relationships between these agencies and the government agencies and the private people they're overseeing. Department of Defense and the industrial military complex. They are sleeping with each other and sharing bank accounts practically. It's gross, and that's part of the reason we spend so much money on our defense is because Department of Defense is like, no, we need to buy more. We need more F-15s, and oh gosh, whatever. Texas limits. Santiago says Texas limits non-compete 2 years, which might be enough in this scenario. I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be enough personally.
Speaking of the military, I wonder how scared the mullahs are this week.
I think that's why it's part of the reason that Hamas is basically like, yeah, we're willing to talk peace now. Fractal Machine says, Joe, you asked how you root out all the snakes. You don't. You make the much shorter list of trustworthy ones and sack literally everyone else. That could be a way to do it. Jay says, I've been trying to find the full video, but YouTube and Google are not promoting it. What I found is only small clips with the trans kid stuff. Interesting or nah? Not for tonight, that's for sure. If you can send it to me, you want to send me stuff, that's fine, but I'm not gonna be able to get to that tonight. I already have stuff that I have on my queue here that I don't know how I'm gonna get to it. One old guy says he was booked mugshot, sat in courts, took flaming legal arrows and a bullet. You're telling me he has a fool me twice guy? Fair enough. Term limits, this alone will solve the swamp problem. The problem is he can't do it. He needs Congress to go along with it, and he's going to need 60 members in the Senate to go along with it. And most of the Republicans will only want to go along with it. Can I get a what's up for my Third Amendment advocates? What up, Third Amendment? No housing and quartering people in our house. What? Just FYI, I sent another DM if you want to. Thank you, Barracuda. I don't know that I'm going to have a chance to get to that. Vaxman, starting with Fed level and then lawfare, then the economy. There was a lot. There was a lot wrong with what we saw happen. As Pharrell says, there were many of us, boots on the ground, ordinary people watching entrances. Just the presence of MAGA everywhere was detrimental. I guess saying detriment. You're saying detrimental to the cheaters. I was at 4 different places on 4 days straight. You guys are awesome. MAGA in general, really awesome. That's why everyone was so worried. Like, how are we going to? They stole it once. Why can't they steal it again? And I was like, no, now we know how they did it. It's going to be much harder for them to do it again. I think every election we're going to see the same type of vigilance of like, you're not effing around with us again. That's not happening. So we sort of learned our lesson. OMG, Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Yeah, that's why he called it Doge. That's why they called it. DC voted 93% for Kamala, relocate those offices. I agree. For the Pfizer, couldn't Trump just put an EO on the DOJ firing any employees requesting a Pfizer hearing? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to do that. Not Eminent Mom, member 5 months, says Pops has been saying for decades that we need to shut down DC and move all agencies to the Midwest. His method is a bit extreme, though. Yeah, well, I think that's there's little reason most of them have to be in DC. Why I don't know why I have to be in DC. Lily Smith says they just send the bribes the way Burisma did to Biden. Yeah, but it's much harder to form all these relationships. You have to work hard to form relationships, and it's much easier to do if you can go from like literally going to a bar and see people from different agencies, like the heads of different agencies, sitting around tables with each other, and it's just like this. It's like this whole incestuous relationship. You can basically have your little DOD town, and then you can have your EPA town and a different state 400 miles away, and then have, you can make it really difficult for them to develop these different relationships. Your FDA town, that's your home operations. Wellesley, I could tell employees that you can take your pension with them if you go to private, that you can't take your pension with them if you go to private companies. Maybe. I'm not sure that the court let him get away with it. And Matt Skinner gifting another 20 good Lawgic memberships. God bless you, Matt. You are awesome. Who'd you bring in here? Who'd you bring to me? Let me see who you brought me here. Matt Skinner brought in the following people should express their gratitude to Matt Skinner for gifting them with a membership to the following. That includes Night Watchman Juan Cole, Uncle Moot, Vermont Wayfaring Man, Concerned American, Chef Davis. Did I get that right? It jumped on me at the last second. Matt Skinner, you're awesome. God bless you, brother. James Hoffman, Echo Victor 6, Stephanie Franks, Professor Cakes, Ronnie, MDW, Nani the 3, Def Wizard, Ezra Atelier, Cindy Bowman, Amanda M., Patriot USA, Chef Davis, and Manville, all of them brought into the following courtesy of Matt Skinner. God bless you, brother. You are awesome. Please bear in mind, a lot of you might think, oh, great, now I can just like call on Joe anytime I want because he's my leader. He's my leader. Oh, all hail Leader Joe. All hail. No, I'm not. Not the leader of the following. Say it with me. Joe is not the leader of the following. All right. Any last thoughts you have for me, Carson Depth?
Yeah, I was just thinking about something. I saw something that was kind of interesting. I don't know if you saw it. Some Democratic analysts said that the most effective ads that the Trump campaign ran were, the one about the trans stuff. We're not for they them, we're for you. And, they're for they them, and we're for you.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the fact Trump got 52% of white women. He did very well with married women and women with children. And maybe the trans issue was something that was a real factor in this thing.
I don't know if you saw you talk about like what's motivating people and what they're thinking about. Did you see what this was shared in Locals, by the way, courtesy of what was that? I don't know. So that was from Johnny Reb. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks so much, Johnny. But
is that a jumpsuit?
It's a tracksuit.
Oh.
Yeah, Joe Neerman states that the following is not a cult type of cult, but he calls his disciples diggers. Let me explain some. Let me explain something to you. When you're talking about people who have their sort of perspectives about what motivates people to vote. Did you see what Sunny Hostin said today? Did you see what she said?
I saw something, but what are you referring to?
I'm going to share it now. I don't know if you'll be able to. I'm going to share it with you all here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it when I play it through. I don't think you will. So maybe you should like jump over real fast and turn on your things so you can like watch along with everyone else.
Okay, well, I'll
5 seconds behind. All right, I'll catch you soon, brother.
You all have a good Shabbos.
You too. Take care, Shabbos. So this is what Sunny Hostin's speculating here. Sunny Hostin, her deep insights. Tell me that she's not affected. She sounds totally vexed.
And finally, we talk a lot about these different demographics and these assumptions of where they're going to go. Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went
97% Latino in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino in Texas, went
75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
75% for Trump. You all think Latinos are so Democrat. 97% Latino went 75% for Trump. Why do you think they went that way? What would make them go that way? Well, she speculates.
Misogyny.
Misogyny. That's what Sunny Hostin interjects. Misogyny.
No, it's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis
It's misogyny.
is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years. We
Misogyny
need to
and
take some
sexism.
lessons.
Misogyny and sexism. That's what it is. Misogyny and sexism. Hello, doofus. McFly. Hello. 75% of all Latinos, of which presumably half of them, or close thereto, were women. You stupid, ignorant, moronic jackass. Misogyny. It's misogyny. 75%. Do you think that 75% of Latinos who voted were men? A significant percentage had to be women. Doofus. Misogyny. He's such an airhead. My God. It's like when every time she falls asleep, portions of her rotted brain must fall out through her ears. You idiot.
That's what that was.
The lessons are not
Knock, knock. Who's
misogyny.
there? Oh my gosh, it's Whoopi.
I don't know what that's. Whoopi is like just desperate for attention. No one looking at me for 10 seconds. Anyway, misogyny. That's Sunny Hostin's take. Misogyny. All those women misogynists. Idiot. That's what I said. I'm not the leader of the following. I don't know why people are confused by this. Not at all. Not at all the leader of the following. All right. What else did I have to share with you guys here? I had one or two more things I wanted to share with you, which I thought were funny. This is it. People calling me.
Call from
Adrienne.
Hello.
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 How are you?
How are you?
I am well.
All right.
I've been trying to get through to you because you are looking at this post federal employee situation all wrong.
Clear me up. Straighten me out.
Okay. All right. So let's take FDA as the example. So you have a federal employee deciding whether a drug gets passed. Okay. And then their value isn't in passing that one drug. Their value is afterwards they go to, like, say, Pfizer, and Pfizer is paying them big money to feed them information, to write the proposals to get the next drugs passed. So in doing so,
What unique information do they have that makes it more likely, if they just because they approve drugs A, B, C, and D? What information would an FDA person have that makes it more likely to pass on drug G or H, that because they worked for the FDA that they would not otherwise have? That the Pfizer itself does not have from trying to get drugs approved for the last century.
the federal employee has the inside scoop on the next group of like 10 reviewers. And
so what you're saying is they're going to hire Harold, and Harold has 20 friends in the FDA, and then when they hire Harold, now Harold is going to go to his friends in the FDA and help them get approval from those friends of his.
Well, that, but also if Harold is working now for Pfizer and knows, oh, okay, so Bob is going to be the next reviewer. I know that Bob looks for these particular things. Bob doesn't care about that. I'm going to write this proposal specifically so that Bob will approve it. I'm going to keep these things out, keep these things in. Now, here's the problem.
Okay.
So in doing so, in writing those types of proposals, they are now representing Pfizer to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So Harold spent 20 years working with the FDA as someone who's overseeing drug development and approvals from the FDA.
Yeah.
Now he retires from the FDA and works for Pfizer, and in some capacity helping them get drug approval for their next drugs. So you're saying now Harold and he gets paid like a ridiculous sum of money. So before he was making like $120,000 a year rising up to like $150,000, and now he ends up starting to make $7 million a year working for Pfizer and overseeing their drug approval development program. So he's going to now go over to Bob, Harold has all these different friends working in the FDA, and he knows the ins and outs of how they think and approach things. Let's go further. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, now stop right there, because you don't need to go any further than that, because there's already federal regulation that permanently bars Harold from representing any agency, any entity before the federal government. If he had any type of substantial, substantial involvement in any of the cases. So by Harold having reviewed these applications in the past, he said substantial involvement. So he is now permanently barred from working for these companies. The regulation's already there. It just needs to be enforced.
Really?
Yep. I can give you, it's 5 CFR, Chapter 3, subsection A, 1304, and I don't remember past that. But I can find it.
I'm trying to Google.
Here it is. Here, it's
Subsection 3, one more time. What was it?
okay. It's Title 5.
I'm in there. I'm in 5 CFR. I'm in 5 CFR
Okay.
300.
Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Subchapter A, Part 1304.
1304.
And it's 1304.4605.
1304. That didn't work. And part this is so hard to find. You're saying you're claiming it's already on the books.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
just
a
a matter
federal
of
regulation. They are,
It's a matter of not being reported.
Yeah.
That changes everything. That changes everything dramatically. That changes everything dramatically. Okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel a lot better. It makes me feel a lot better. That I would love to see him do it. I said it sounds great. I just don't know that he can do it. You're telling me it's already statute. It's a matter of just enforcing it. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, I think that's a really healthy thing.
yeah, I mean the bad part is that okay, so now Harold's banned from working for any of those, but the head of Pfizer has a friend at like the Ford Motor Company, and now Harold can go work for the Ford Motor Company and just happen to have diarrhea of the mouth and talk about all of his time at FDA and how he used to write these proposals and blah blah blah, and someone could happen to hear that and use the information.
Yeah, but
there are ways around
it. But that sounds much harder to do. That sounds much harder to do. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like a much more convoluted thing to try getting done. You said 1300. I don't see it here.
Yeah, 1304. Here, let me.
1304.
I can send you the link. I found it.
Post-employment conflict of interest. 1304. Point what?
It's 1304.4605.
I actually have it right here.
Oh, good.
General restrictions applicable to former employees, all former government employees. A former government employee is restricted from acting as a representative before an agency as a particular matter involving a specific party if the employee participated personally and substantially in that matter as a government employee. I don't think that's on that particular matter, but they can apply for other matters. The government employee is also restricted from making any oral or written communication to an agency within the intent to influence. So in other words, if they were working on drug, hair revival, hair rejuvenation drug X, so now they can't now switch sides to the other side and argue to help hair rejuvenation X, but they still could work for the company that produces hair rejuvenation X. So that's the permanent bar. Then the next part 2, is the 2-year bar, saying a former government employee is restricted for 2 years from acting as a representative for an agency as to a particular matter involving a specific party, employee official responsibility matter. Also restricted for 2 years from making oral or written communication to any agency with the intent to influence on behalf of another person on a particular matter. I don't know it's broad enough. 2-year bar on assisting and representing. This is what I told you, that all these restrictions, this sounds consistent with what I expected it to be. That whenever it's like basically like a non-compete, that you're restricting them from up to 2 years. I don't know that that's enough. That's the question.
Yeah, but it's not a non-compete because you're not competing.
Right. But I'm saying this is the same way non-competes are. The court frowns on non-competes because it's restricting freedom of employment for their typical American citizen. So that's why IBM can't restrict you from working for Apple for more than 2 years. You're head of R&D for IBM. They can't restrict you for working for Apple for more than 2 years. If they say there's a 5-year ban and you're going to Apple, the court will look at that and say, all right, we're slicing that back down to 2 years. and anything beyond that is beyond this, because there's a general concept of we don't want to restrict employees from having freedom to associate with whomever they choose to, because we look at that as a form of slavery. That now, once they sign with IBM, now they're a slave to IBM and can never go to any competitor. So that's why they look at it and say, okay, you have 2 years that you can sort of lock them out, but after 2 years you can't lock them out anymore. And it's not just in the computer industry where things change overnight, in 2 years dramatically. But it'll be in something like the microphone production company, which they'll make the same SM Shure 70 microphone for the last 40 years. It'll also you can't have Bose can't stop someone from working for Shure or Shure from Bose. You can't do that for more than 2 years, because otherwise we feel like they're a slave to the first company that hires them. So too, just because you work for the government doesn't mean the government can stop you from working for a private company for more than 2 years. That's why they put in here a 2-year ban. And that's what I was saying is, I don't know that a 2-year ban is enough if you're talking about the amount of money that they're going to be getting when they're reining in when they jump ship to these private agencies. And I still question now whether that's possible. You see what I'm saying? How is this 2-year ban? Because they know that the court's never going to approve it, because it looks like slavery. That your first employer, now you're married to your employer for the rest of your life if you want to make a living. So that's what.
True, but okay. First of all, this is the federal government. They write whatever they want. You are a slave. That's first and foremost. Mm-hmm. You accept that when you take the oath of walking in that they rule your life for life. You may not be aware that you're doing that, but you're doing that.
That's different from that can be different in practice from like the court agreeing that that's okay, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, fair, but you cannot represent any entity to the federal government. Like, I will say, like, we went through a lot of ethics training, and as a federal employee, like, if my mother's on Social Security and she needs somebody to call Social Security to act on her behalf, I couldn't do it as a Fed. I could not represent someone else to the federal government. That's like hard and fast. You can't do it.
Okay. Forever?
And so forever.
All right. Well,
so the federal government's very weird about some of their rules.
Right.
So when it says you cannot represent like the in that statute that you cannot represent the entity in something you've touched, that is very broad in interpretation of how the government can apply that. Maybe not in like private sector or whatever, but the government has, right or wrong, broad leeway with that kind of stuff.
Perhaps. You might be right on that. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to alert you all to my concerns about the government legally getting away with it. Can they? You're saying you're claiming they can. I'm saying I don't know. My first gut would be that they cannot. I could be wrong on that. I'm not claiming that I'm not claiming that I've practiced in this area as far as testing the government's ability to restrict your employment more than a private agency. I'm simply saying I think most people are probably unaware of limitations on restricting employment. I wanted to bring that awareness to all of you and say that could theoretically apply to Trump's efforts to restrict this type of incestuous relationships that we see between federal agencies and private companies. That's all. So, all right, Adrian, you're awesome.
I applaud your efforts because it's great that people are talking about it.
Yeah, no, it's important for us to sort of understand what's feasible versus what's not, so we can be realistic as to what our expectations are, and instead of having false hope that this is going to happen when if it seems doubtful that it can. So, and some of you have convinced me that, you know what, maybe there could be added limitations I hadn't thought of, and selling me on number 5. I'm a lot more bigger believer in number 5 than I was before. So thank you, Adrian. I gotta fly out of here.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Have a good night. Good luck this weekend.
You
too. What else did I have here? I don't know why this is not seeing. I want to make sure. I want to share with you a couple of memes before I get out of here. I'm going to close out here with some memes. I'm closing down the phone line, so you can stop trying to call in. You can stop trying. I'm tired. I need to start closing things down here. We got to start closing down. But I had a bunch of memes I want to share with y'all. Been here for over 3.5 hours already. Let me share this with you because this is fun. I'm going to close the week out with some crying liberals. Now, there's going to be some overlap here. I'm not going to go through the ones. Cassandra McDonald shared out a whole bunch of these memes. Here's some videos of liberals crying over election results. If I covered it last night, I'm not going to be recovering it again tonight. I'm only going to be watching the ones that I did not see last night. So I recommend checking out last night's show if you missed it. Well, here we go. She can't even use words. She has to type it out. I'm done with you self-hating, disgusting, racist bitches. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't think I saw this one. Watching the election, realizing there's no hope for me and my body in the future. No, there's no hope for your poor body in the future. Your body's done. It's like the Joy Luck Club all over again. Oh my. Oh my. I think I saw these folks here. Saw her for sure. Saw her for sure. I don't remember her.
I need a collective group hug. Can all the girls and gays unite? I need a collective group hug. I'm about to start screaming like Sarah Paulson and Colt from American Horror Story.
I did say that yesterday. I still don't get the reference. I still don't get it. There's one or two more here that I haven't seen yet. Did I see her? I think I saw her.
Over Kamala, if you sat there and you voted for Trump, a felon, over Kamala because she was a woman, you're disgusting. You're disgusting.
She's talking to you. She's talking. This is all your fault. She's talking to you. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. I don't know this one. Who's this one? Who's this one?
And I'll be in denial for at least a little while. What about the plans we made?
This is a Sonny Hostin fan right here. A Sonny Hostin fan. Idiots. This is what Sonny Hostin inspires. She inspires this. This is just sad. God. I blame Sonny Hostin for her. I do. I blame Sonny Hostin. This one was funny. Hope you guys enjoy the lower gas prices. We will enjoy the lower gas prices. We will. I saw you yesterday. Saw you for sure. Saw you. Saw you. I see most of these. I think. I feel like I did a good job of covering everything. I don't remember seeing her. Who are you? Who are you? What's your story? What's your story? I'm terrified. Please, Nevada and Pennsylvania, please.
Over and over, I fuck myself over and under I do it again. Morning and evening, I felt I was grieving until I said fuck you and never again. Over.
Oh my God. Yeah, these are not fun. These are just sad. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ah, gosh. Wow. This is leftist media did this to these people. They're all so messed up. They're all so messed up. These people are all messed up. I actually feel bad for these folks. This is Sonny Hostin did this crap.
Life could be worse. No, not really.
No, it really could be a lot worse. You could be living in Ukraine. That'd be a lot worse. That'd be a lot worse. You could be living in Kiev. Oh my gosh.
This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. I'm sorry to all my friends who are Trump supporters. But you don't understand how scared of this man I am. And I don't say a word to y'all because I try to keep politics out of my friendships because I don't want my beliefs and your beliefs to mess up our friendship because that's something different. This man scares the shit out of me and now he's fucking president. I can't even breathe.
Wow. This is an interesting point that Bella's making. It's an interesting point. You think that they're all just searching for the attention? Wow. I don't know. I like the screamers more than the criers. The screamers are way better for me. The screamers make me laugh. The criers actually make me feel like a little bad just because I know how messed up they are. The screamers feels more like the screamers are they're easier for me to laugh at. The rage. The rage people. That's what I want to see. Liberal rage. Let me see if Cassandra's putting up their liberals crying. No, you gotta search for liberal rage. I'm gonna do a quick search, see if I can find rage. Liberal rage media.
Lemon, I would honestly just like to thank you for all of your unhinged reactions that you are posting online in response to Trump's reelection. I am making a collection of these videos, and I plan to show my daughter at some point in time.
All right. I can't. And I'm getting chastised now by Matt. Matt saying, we won. Let's do so with grace. Our tax dollars produce this nonsense. Let's figure out how to bridge the gap. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. There has to be a way. I really do feel bad for the crying ones. I thought I would enjoy it more. I'm like, no, this is just not fun. Screaming Screaming makes me laugh. Crying just makes me feel just kind of horror. These all remind me of the ending of the Blair Witch Project. Need more mucus running. All right, my friends, I think it's time for me to start calling it a night. I gotta start landing my plane. I gotta start landing a plane. There's still a couple months left, which they might try and convince you to do this. So I'm glad that you all remember that lab meat is feces. I mean, literally, they take feces and they turn it into protein meat in a laboratory and then put it in your burger. It's feces. Feces. So stay away. No, none of that. None of that. None of that. It's feces. It's Soylent Brown. Soylent Brown. That's what it is. Stay away from the lab meat. And of course, never, ever eat the bugs. Just don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. Tomorrow at noon Eastern time, I will, God willing, be on with Layback Law with Eric Hunley and the amazing panel of lawyers. I urge you to join me there. Be back here Saturday night. I definitely plan on having a stream. Until then, take care of yourselves. Look out for your loved ones. Have a phenomenal weekend. And as always, Godspeed.